This episode is brought to you by the High Performance Academy. More on them later.
And it was awful to drive. Awful. And the only way you were going to get around that was to have an ECU capable and a calibration that's done well enough to make all those things jive together. My car makes half that and it goes quicker. Like, yeah, it's true. It's not 2,400 pounds. It's not going 99 to 105, 60 foots. Like, it's not. They're just different.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Minnoxide podcast. I'm your host, Harris, aka Minnoxide, man of many automotive aspirations, and I'm here with my Ford-loving co-host, Dan.
Yep.
Mr. Gunnet Garage.
That's me.
Is the Ford still here, or is it gone now? It just shipped, didn't it?
Yesterday.
Oh.
You missed it by a day.
You got a GT here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, today we are here with Aaron Miller, owner of Nth Moto, which is, I think, by the time this airs, should be exactly 1 year since our last go-around.
Very cool.
Funny how that timing worked out.
Little annual get-together.
I think it's a good way to go about it, annual get-togethers. But so real quick, what's new with you? For those watching video, they see the new shiny things in the background.
Oh, our friend over here. Yeah. This is my co-host or my
co-guest.
Sure. We've got our Streetcar bragging rights roll race world champion trophy, which we won at the event out there at Rockingham, which you guys were at.
Yeah.
So we won that with Kratos, and now we are tasked with the duty of bringing it back for the next event, and then someone has to try to win it from us.
Oh, is that how it works?
That's how it works.
Oh,
so it's literally like Stanley Cup game. Like we're supposed to get our name engraved in here and stuff, and then it's going to pass around every person that wins it every time.
Oh,
so,
who else? Is there anybody engraved in there yet?
Well, no, because it was the first time it was the event, first time roll race. So we are the first winners of the roll race world championship.
That is so much cooler.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Well, let's kick it off with that, actually. What were your thoughts on that event?
Boy, was it hot.
It was hot. Yeah. I wore black jeans the whole weekend.
Oh, that's just a bad choice. Really cool event. Nate, this is actually perfect. Like, this is some of the cool factor. Like, even though this doesn't mean that much to a lot of people, like this little tag for racer, like the sponsor ones were like laser engraved stainless and stuff. And you're like, wow, this is nice. They put a lot of effort into making sure the racers and sponsors knew that they were appreciated for being there. And I think his emphasis to that is really key, a key element to the idea, because like at the end of the day, if the racers and sponsors aren't there, the event isn't really much of an event, right?
Right.
So kind of putting that at the forefront of importance of their list, I think that was a really smart move by them. The IHRA stuff is doing the same thing right now. When you go to those races and you see like, you know, if you're a racer, like you get catered dinner at the night, and I mean like not like catered dinner. Here's nuts and snacks or whatever and stuff. You know, it was like chicken marsala and tenderloin and like different types of salads and desserts and like it was just. Anyways, they're taking this kind of same mindset of like, hey, let's put the racer first, and it's a pretty good strategy, I think.
So we paid for VIP. And boy, am I glad I did with how hot it was that weekend. The AC was the only reason I'm here today. But I think it was worth it. Actually, I don't want the prices to go up. It was the worst thing ever. Do not pay for VIP. No, I definitely felt like it was. We had the food and everything too.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty legit.
Yeah, they did that. I mean, the Celsius stuff that was in co-sponsor or sponsorship there, and the nice tent and booth layout next to the starting line was really great.
Okay.
Same thing at SCBR. Like we got dinner as sponsors. Like I mean, which was great because the race went till I don't know what 4:00 in the afternoon the next day or something. Like sarcasm, but I mean, yeah, when you're at the track all day and you're hot and you're working on stuff and all that, and then like. The fact that you could just go get dinner was quite convenient because oftentimes we forget to eat, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a really nice touch. Overall, really, really good. The roll race in specific, I love the starting format. Full transparency, like I was involved in the the questions that was happening about that, about, hey, how could we do this different? And so I talked with Nate about that before the event, and that whole starting speed scenario, which I cannot take credit for. The race motive guys up in the Northeast are the ones that I saw that at that event. Was like, well, this is genius. This is really, really good.
Can you explain what the format is and what's different about it?
Sure. Yeah, it's probably a good thing to touch on. So what they do is they do a radar gate at the start line. Okay, and the reason that's important is because for anybody listening or watching, like all these roll races, or most of any of these roll races, there really isn't very much control to the starting situation. And it would be kind of like if you could think, I mean, a roll race is no different than a drag race, other than you're just starting from a moving velocity, right? Like it's still a first to the finish line. It's still very important how quick you get out in the beginning, just like a 60-foot is in drag race, or reaction time, or any of those, I mean, that's where the big gains are had, as anybody that has competitively drag race knows. So it's like if you would not really have very stringent starting line rules at some grudge race type deal or something, and like, I don't know, go when you want to go, or, like, fine, like that doesn't work. Bad things happen at races when people do that stuff. So I get it that it's supposed to be like simulated street racing, but it's also competitive to the point now that, like, street racing and the idea of what it was years past was a lot more like, hey, we'll just kind of like go together and like high five from across a couple lanes after. That was a lot of fun, right? And then then the internet got bigger and the social media got bigger, and everybody got real touchy on, like, if you were ever on video losing a race, heaven forbid, stuff like that. And I don't know, I just think it kind of changed the scene a lot with that. Like, people were far more touchy or competitive over this stuff. And so anyways, with that, at the other roll races, and I'm just not going to say event names to not alienate anyone, but like at the end of the day, there's Florida 2K, there was Texas 2K, there was Streetcar Takeover, like all of them. There's either a fixed start position that you start from, or a start area that you start from. And so the whole goal is like, hey, get the two cars close, be traveling near the same speed and near a certain speed that's outlined, but that's about as tight as it gets, right? And then it's just down to, I mean, if it's a fixed start position, you're supposed to hit it there. I don't think anybody does, like kind of maybe a little bit before, or, all that stuff. And then in the start gate type scenarios, it's off a trigger light, which is great, but it's kind of hard to really quantify, like, well, did they jump or did they not? And by the time the race is over, like, the decision had to already been made. And so what this does instead is it put a hard cut, like there's a fixed start position on the track, and there's a speed gate at that point that I think for that event it was 50 miles per hour, like 500 or 50.01 or whatever, like a hard cut. If you're over this, it's like a red light in drag racing. Like, you went too soon. That's it. So people struggled with that. Myself included, right? Not because it's difficult to accomplish, but it's difficult to accomplish at that venue. Very, very, very short run-up area. So you're trying to get cars that have various different gear ratios and all of that stuff, and you're trying to get these two cars next to each other remotely closely by this fixed start position, and neither can go over this set start speed. Well, if one guy gets out early, mathematically, somebody has to go faster to catch up then, right? So so if they try to catch up, like, they're probably going to be going too fast. So there's a little bit of, I mean, it's a far from perfect system, but what it did do is not a single race was lost at that event in any of the roll racing classes that happened, where someone at the end of the track was mad saying, oh, they jumped me, or this happened, or whatever. Zero, because you can't. Like, it can't be done. So all of that complaining that happens at every roll race that you go to is no longer there. So now it's on the competitors to just, like, do a decent, be a kind human being job of staying close to one another and like try to get the start off. Now, with it being so short, that makes it hard there.
Okay.
If there was a longer run-up area, that would be much, much, much easier to accomplish. But all that to say, I think that style of format and that rule layout, I think with a little bit of tweaking, that can be pretty great.
So do you think that format's going to get adopted more, potentially?
I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Okay.
Do they give you, is there a buffer of like, you know, what is it? 60 is where the hit's at. If you're at 62, is it red light?
So with that, the start speed was supposed to be 40 miles per hour.
Okay.
And then they would put a high limit, and let's just say it was 50. I actually don't remember, and I should, because we didn't qualify with our first pass, actually, because we were like a tenth of a mile per hour too high.
I think a lot of people struggled with that, though.
They did.
At first.
And because it's a start gate, it's not an instantaneous position, right? So now it's averaging that speed. So you may enter the gate, but if your car's fast, like if you enter the gate, and let's say the hard cut's 50, and you enter the gate at 48, well, the second pickup for it in that gate format, what if you're doing 60 now? You know, so like that's a little bit of the challenge with that. So they got some polishing up to do with that, which it seems like he's very, very, very motivated to take that event and do a lot of great things with it. I'm quite certain that they will do that, and it's pretty cool, man. I mean, we're gonna plan to be there again.
Yeah, well, they got it for the next 2 or 3 years. I think they secured a track for that event or something like that.
And like, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, the track was awesome, the facility was awesome, the staff was awesome. All of that was great.
But it was hot.
For roll racing. That's a very short run-up area.
Oh, okay,
very, very difficult.
Now, there was quite of an area coming up to it, but that was slightly off from the actual track, wasn't it?
Yeah, so their staging lanes have a little dog leg in it.
Yeah.
And like when I looked at it in the overhead before the event, I had never been there before. I kind of wondered, like, golly, are they going to start us back here and you're going to kind of take a little S turn? And you might think that's impossible, but we raced at MITM the 1 year in St. Louis at Worldwide Technology, and that makes like a 100-degree turn, like over 90 to come out, and they were having the cars do that. And then a Streetcar Takeover at Flying H, epically beautiful facility. I think we actually talked about that last time we did this. But there's a creek right behind the start line, and so their staging lane takes a hard turn to come around too. So same thing, for the roll race there, we were entering and making a turn, then getting lined up and go. It was kind of fun. Like I was in a Turbo Viper, and you know, you'd come around the corner and step a little, and you'd grab it. You know, like incredibly dangerous probably, but it was fun. So yeah, certain tracks have a good layout for the roll race style stuff, and certain ones don't.
It's kind of like, I don't do a lot of drag racing or roll racing, and really my only roll race experience is at Power Cruise. But there's a lot going on there when you're trying to like figure out your speed, and I'm nervous about going over. I don't want to give anybody an excuse to be bitching at me, like you said at the end, right? So if anything, I try and either not have the jump or be a little under.
Sure.
And
he's not trying to get a big trophy though.
Yeah, it's true. But
there's things on the line.
It is harder than people think to keep that speed and try and figure everything else out to take off once you hit that.
And the more complex the car is, the more difficult that becomes. And so that's part of it. That's why for the hardcore guys out there that love to hate roll racing, like I get it. Like, I mean, I prefer drag racing from a standing start. I think it's better. But our marketplace pays attention to roll racing more. They just do. So, and we also can be pretty good at it. It's just a different kind of challenge. So that's why I just think that people that are a little like kind of uptight about it, like, that's really, really silly. Why would you guys do that? Or, oh, you can't come from a dig, so that's why you do it from a roll.
Sure.
Like,
which you've proven time and again that...
the car goes 670s and weighs 3,900, well, technically 4,020 at that time. But it's a 6-second quarter-mile car. Like, there's a lot of faster stuff out there in the world, for sure. Not that normally, though, for stuff that like actually drives around. Like, casually drives around.
Well, yeah, you could take it to Starbucks. It's got AC. It's got everything. Yeah.
That's all still there.
So, okay, why did you guys have success? Because it's one thing to win an event. It's another thing to win an event at a track that's new to you, because you've never been to North Carolina.
Yep.
Is there anything that led to that success? Is there any setup changes? We're talking about Kratos in this instance, so.
Yeah, and absolutely, we did. We went into it with, everything we have learned at every past event. Like, we rarely ever show up at two places with the same everything about the car, right? Like, we're always learning, we're always developing our cars, and that car in particular, further.
Whether you are new to working on cars or a seasoned shop owner at the top of their game, the High Performance Academy is where all car enthusiasts can go to expand their skill sets. If you want to learn how to build an engine, tune your car, improve your wiring or suspension setups, the HP Academy has the perfect step-by-step course for you. As a friend of the show, they've provided listeners with a special 55% off discount code that you can use risk-free on any course of your choosing. Details are in the description of the show below, or go to the partners page at Minnoxide.com. Go check it out. Let's get back to the show.
So, we concentrated a lot on some of the gear ratio stuff, as well as a lot of planning on the torque converter side of things with the automatic combination. We were a lot more spicy with throwing some nitrous at it down low. That was fun.
So makes all the wrong combinations the right combination.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good phrase, isn't it? Yeah. So we went into it far more fixated on, like, all right, if we're gonna run both styles of format, like, we have to be more dedicated about it. Like, we have the ability to change the car over every night. We don't love doing it. Burris works as, off. Trying not to swear, sorry. You guys were there. You saw, that's...
You guys are working on that car quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, every night, that's 4 hours fast. Like, his 4 hours. Like, mere mortals, that's like 6 or 7 hours probably. Sure. I don't know. But, like, 4 hours of suspension changes, converter change, we actually even played with some aero changes on the car too.
Yeah, that was the most apparent.
Yeah. Not everybody seemed to catch on to that though. Like, I really expected people to ask, and didn't really get a lot of questions.
I didn't realize, because we came the day after you won.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a second, huh? What, that happened?
Yeah. And because they did the staggered, qualifying for roll racing, then qualifying for drag racing, then eliminations for roll racing, then eliminations for drag racing. So every night, and we tested drag race the night before, because we'd never been to that event, that track. So we came out there and we had made a bunch of changes on the car, and we did terrible. And we were very quickly humbled of the, okay, we changed a lot of stuff and it didn't quite go like we thought it might. And what we did change worked awesome in the roll race. It was, if you pay attention to the videos that 1320 Video did on it, there's a lot of pretty cool things that you can catch and see and monitor and realize of, the way the car is behaving. So it worked great in the roll race, and it was abysmal in the drag race. So we learned what doesn't work there.
Because you guys were kind of struggling on the drag race side of things.
Kind of.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nice.
Well, I remember sitting up there, and it was late at night too a lot of the times. So we're like, okay, we're going to stay up to watch Nth, and then we go, and then I was like, oh, I stayed up for that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, trust me, it feels just as bad in the car or at the trailer. Yeah. So, they were aggressive changes. We tried a bunch of stuff. It taught us a lot. We got it figured out by the last run, and then it figured itself out so well that it broke the pinion, which I guess that was like a hooray victory, now we know, that was working better, harder, hooking harder, doing what it was supposed to do, and then it was a bummer. So,
well, bummer, sure, but you also mentioned at the track, I think it was you that I was talking to, that's been in there since the build was completed.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 years ago now?
I don't even know. We debuted it, and it won the Florida 2K roll race at its debut I don't remember.
I think that was 21, right?
I think it was 21.
Yeah. Well, just pretend it's 21.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I guess I don't remember. The trophy's up front if you want.
Yeah, let's go around there. Do you have the big check too? Or?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys haven't cashed that yet, have you?
No. Well, Victor's broke. I don't think it's good for anything. He had to do all the paving and everything at Bradenton now. So it's a joke, Vic. Relax. But it's been in there since the beginning, and it's never changed. So I guess like that's pretty good. And now we know what we can improve on, or we do know what we can improve on. So
That's one thing I was going to ask about that roll racing versus dig racing. You say you kind of prefer dig racing, but I assume that roll racing is a lot easier on the car.
I think so. Yeah.
You rarely break stuff.
In two different formats, right?
Okay.
Like driveline wise, it's easier on the car for most people. I think most everybody. Engine wise, I'm not necessarily sure because the scene that you guys see a lot, the scene that we're a part of, this like kind of silly, fast streetcar-ish market, or like the GTR world, the R8 Huracan world, all that stuff. What you guys are seeing is the velvet sledgehammer. That's the approach that everyone takes. Like, No, I don't want to get rid of any of the things that I like. So we're going to wrap this giant sledgehammer in velvet and make it look fancy, and we're going to smack the motor with it. It's like just raw power production. So like on the engine side, people push really hard, and that's where also people that are like very in tune with traditional drag racing models don't get it when they see these video titles of 11 bajillion thousand wheel horsepower car and it went this fast, and they're like, well, I don't get it, like my car makes half that and it goes quicker. Like, yeah, it's true, it's not 2,400 pounds, it's not going 99 to 105 60 foots. Like it's not they're just different. That's all. It doesn't make either of them wrong. It's just people have a really hard time correlating it, because for you to go really fast, or like these roll race things, like there's a great example. Okay, so we went, I think our fastest pass at that event was 206 at Streetcar bragging rights, 206 something. In looking at the data, that race, the start line was not the drag strip start line, it was farther out on the drag strip. So like in total it was about like 1,220 feet or so. So about 100 feet shorter than a normal quarter mile. And we're going 206. Well, that car has trapped 215 in the quarter mile from a dead stop. If people start to think about it, like how fast is that car going from a dig 100 feet from the starting line? It's pretty fast, actually. Like not 40. Right? And so when people are like, oh, you're coming through at a start, like you should be so far ahead. Like, no, not really. So it's kind of an interesting thing to play with your brain on that a little bit, because most people kind of think like, well, this thing is moving, so that thing that's stuck right there, like no way, it shouldn't work out that way. But yeah, so to go 206 or 200 and whatever mile per hour in only 1,220 feet from a slow rolling start, that takes a lot of power, like a significant amount of power. And that's what I think people don't necessarily get. Like,
I think that's pretty like I've been getting really interested into the land speed stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at like how fast some of those guys are going over the course of a mile or two or whatever it is, and it's like, well, this guy did that in a quarter and whatever. Yeah. Way faster, so it's just,
but he's not doing it on white dirt.
There's that too, right? Yeah.
So like I mean, that's, and it's like, well, how much torque can you apply to the surface,
right,
and continue to accelerate it and keep it in control? Like
we have to think about that into roll racing too, versus starting from where all the prep is. So
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know why roll racing has been growing in popularity? Do you think it translates from, people with high power now on the streets kind of had to transition to roll racing, which kind of made it more popular? Now you're seeing it more on a professional level. Is that where it kind of comes from, you think?
Let's roll back in history a little bit. And I'm a little bit foggy on this, but like you guys are going to have to help me out.
Okay.
R35 GTRs, right? Wasn't there a big deal when those cars first came out? Like if you launched it more than X times, there was the rumor that your warranty was going to be voided or stuff like that. Yeah. Okay.
We've heard that anyway, yes.
Okay, well, there's your answer, right? And that's my opinion, because all of a sudden, all these cars were coming out that were, like, we as Americans, like everything we do, apparently we just make things bigger and heavier all the time. So, like, now, how much does a GT500 weigh?
4,200 pounds.
Right, and it's like, how did we get here, But so the cars keep getting heavier because everybody wants all the things in the car. We make them more powerful to try to counteract the fact that they're heavier, but then that's like magnitude of forces of additional strain on the driveline to get it moving from a start. And no different than your body. You want to sprint from a dead stop, like, takes a lot of muscle, takes a lot of energy to do that. If you want to accelerate from a jog to a sprint, you can do that easier. So I personally think it was kind of a thing where a lot more people could do it without feeling as at risk for breaking their car. And I mean, like, I can go back to my starting days in the street race stuff and having an Omni GLH or a Shelby Charger or stuff like that. And like,
I keep seeing those in my feed, by the way. You need to buy another one.
Oh, yeah.
Get you another Shelby.
Yeah, someday. That car wouldn't hook at less than 60. Like, and I was dumb, right? Like, I mean, I probably could have figured it out, but it was a lot more fun to not figure it out and just drive through it, and then it was fun. So then, like 60 rolls was a really good spot for it. So that's what I did. So I don't know. I think that's kind of how that became a thing, and it gained popularity, and it is not as, there's a far less cost of entry to do it, right? And as cars have gotten faster, you can't run them legally at tracks that enforce normal certification legalities. So, I mean, like, now, GT500 again. Like, how hard is it to get one of those in the 9s?
Not hard at all. It flirts with the rules right where it is anyway.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So now GTD getting beat up by a ZR1X. I don't know what you're going to do about that. But sorry.
No, I have thoughts on it. I am not happy. But
that was a request from the guys, by the way. I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah,
we thought it'd be fun.
I definitely want to come back to the ZR1 topic, because that's going to be an interesting market.
Yeah.
But okay, what about 8th Mile, right? Because I think we talked about this a little bit last year. Do you have any 8th Mile competitors out there currently, or not really?
I mean, we pay attention to 8th Mile.
Sure.
When we're doing quarter-mile stuff.
Right, sure, yeah.
We need it to. But nobody that's like specific to 8th Mile stuff right at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I went to my first Cash at the Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, this is fun. And I also have attended other events too. It is a good time.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And plus we've had a lot of like 8th Mile guys on the track now at this
Totally.
point. Yeah, or not on the track, on the show
On
at
the
this
show,
point.
yeah.
But, so one question I had earlier then. So in years prior to Rockingham this year, were you guys not doing as much setup changes in between events, or like?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could, we did
Sure.
some things, but putting 4, 5, 6 hours of work into the car every night is not exactly the most like appealing situation. So we were able to be competitive. I mean, we like at 2K. Well, this past year we had the spark plug failure, but
Yeah, that was a bummer.
yeah, year prior, like we had, I don't remember. I think we ended up with the fastest run during eliminations. I don't remember where we placed. I think we qualified. Somebody's going to yell at me. I feel like we qualified second. I don't remember. Anyways, we've been able to be competitive without having to go kind of or haven't had to go totally into the hard part changes on the car.
Sure.
I think we're past that point. Like, I think we need to do that. Well, we've learned we need to do that now to extract the full potential that we can out of the car. You mentioned 8th Mile. Like, guys that are serious 8th Mile racers don't have enough gear to go quarter mile.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't do that. Ipso facto, guy that does quarter mile stuff and he's going to go 8th Mile, like, if he cares, he's not going to leave the same gear in it. Or he thinks he can just play and like it'll be all right and they'll leave that gearing in the car. So yeah, so events past, we've been a little more walk the line of like make it work, and we did okay with that. If we want to try to do better, then we're going to need to be more focused.
What was the biggest limiting factor going from roll to drag racing?
A converter change hasn't been your biggest pain in the butt,
Converter's a big part of it. I mean, do you mean like the physical challenge
Yeah.
or, physical challenge is converter, yeah, because trans has got to come out of the car and like that car's not, it's just nothing, because it's beautiful, it's also not easy to work on.
Sure.
So it's not like it's a tube chassis car and you can reach into the inside of the tunnel and pull panels out and rip the trans out.
Yeah,
and
you
all
can
that.
take the whole panels off the car in two pieces, right? Yeah.
No, not that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real chore.
Oh, well, let's talk packaging actually, because when we had Nathan Shaw on the show, he was talking about like just how intense it is what you guys do, right? Because you're doing all this stuff in a streetcar application. You're not building it from a tube chassis straight, like from the bottom up.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to package these cars, the Viper especially? Because you've done everything at this point.
Extremely. Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Let me back that up.
Sure.
It's extremely difficult, and this is going to sound maybe potentially a little bit pompous. It's extremely difficult to do it with the level of execution and the standards that everyone here has.
Sure.
You can do it a lot of different ways, and I'm not going to call it wrong. It's just not maybe the way that we would do it. To package, where it starts to get mind-numbing is when you think about what we're not willing to get rid of. So air filters is a great example. Like, how much air filter media do you need to support 1,800-ish horsepower per turbocharger on the car, right? Like, a lot.
Right.
Well, where do you put it? Like, if that's a 5-inch inlet or a 6-inch air inlet, compressor cover, how do you get that into a filter that is a reasonable real-world solution that somebody can just drive away with, and you're not thinking like, oh man, I hope that thing doesn't fall off, or something
Or
like that.
suck into the turbo.
Sure, all that, right?
Yeah.
So, so when you have to start to create solutions to that type of dilemma, whereas in a chassis car or a race car, or if people just don't care, like, sure, like it can be up out the hood, it can be way out front. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, but yeah, when you start to, no pun intended, put it in the box of like, hey, it's gotta still have the, not just air conditioning, but that's a good example, of course, but the air conditioning, the power steering coolers, like oil cooler assemblies, air filtration, making sure you're not going to drag lines down on the ground, or like you can't have fluid lines running under frame rails. That's a big one in Vipers, because people put the turbos so low, then they're like, oh, I'll just run this oil line under the frame rail. And like, okay. What do we do instead? Well, we very carefully put a hole through the chassis and sleeve it with a tube and TIG weld it inside and outside and blend it. And so like you'd go back and look and you'd never know that was not supposed to be there. But now we have a pass through in the chassis that in a lot of cases is now stronger, with it's got this horizontal tube tying it together inside there that now we can pass all our hoses through.
Well, this all sounds very easy to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it takes several hours to do that.
I think you just need more zip ties. Is all.
That's it.
Yeah.
Self-tappers.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, because those, man, Milwaukee, run that baby in, you're all done.
Yeah.
And so you have to work on it again. So
Oh yeah, with serviceability in mind too.
therein lies the key, right? It's going to break. It's going to break. Like we can use the best parts that exist, and we do. We develop our own solutions because we break what people tell us is the best, right? And so like you go through that rinse and repeat, and you have to start to prepare yourself mentally that we can do everything that we know to do, and someone or something can still break it. Totally. And everybody, customer and shop, have to be on board with that. Like, you got to know it. Otherwise, you shouldn't be doing a build to that caliber of a car. My opinion of that at that point.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I don't think you have many streetcar customers anymore. I think it seems like you have a lot of race customers at this point. Is that kind of fair to assess, or is it kind of a still equal mix?
I don't know. I would still say it's fairly blended. So we don't have very many cars that are like event-only cars.
Okay.
Well, can we touch on that dynamic a little bit? And I know
Absolutely.
some of the stuff with your clientele is a little bit secretive. So can you explain to me how, like, Kratos works, for example? Because you guys don't own that car, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no, that's
So-
customer-owned.
Okay, so how does that? But that's your out in front, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
you're driving and all that stuff. Can you kind of just give us an idea on how that whole dynamic works?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's owned by a gentleman, fantastic guy. He bought that car from the original customer that contracted us to build it initially.
Okay.
And he bought it, and we had a conversation beforehand of like, hey, tell me about this thing. Like, what does this look like owning something like this? It's like, well, you can own it and do nothing, and it can sit and be pretty, and it makes a bunch of power or whatever. But if you want to race it, like, you have to know that it's what we've been doing is it's always on the forward run, like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be kind of that developmental piece if you want it to be. That takes a commitment from us on time and them on funding and planning and testing and racing and all of that stuff. He's on board for it helping evolve the platform further and further. And all of the tech and componentry that really is developed at that level is a trickle-down effect to the normal cars at
Right,
that point
yeah.
in time.
What's a normal car?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Do tell.
well, it's suitable to everything, really. Like, I mean,
Sure.
what I mean by that is like we look at things methodically, right? And I think you know that already. But we've kept looking at Kratos as like, all right, we could just turn the boost up. Like, it could. It wants to. Like, the turbo system has enough airflow in it to do that. But we've continued to try to make the total system, engine inclusive, better. That way we don't have to necessarily do that. So the day that we want to, it's there, and like, who knows what'll happen, right? But because we keep refining the airflow system and the engine as a whole, that tech, the valve train, the port design, the even static compressions, cam theories, like all of the things that we try, then can translate to the lesser 2,500, 2,000, 1,500 horsepower cars.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you just take all that and you put it over here, but it teaches you a lot too, and also maybe limitations. Like, if you were maybe concerned about a certain component in this engine that we've been using at about 2,000 horsepower, but turns out we've been able to utilize it in Kratos at 3,300 or 3,500 for a while, you go like, oh, well, then this is good for that person, right? Like, because still that person can break that, or a component can just fail, unfortunately. But at least at that point we've vetted out, like, hey man, this is taken a lot of abuse at that point in time. We're extremely fortunate to have that relationship and that situation with the customer owning the vehicle and wanting to do it that way. And he feels fortunate that he's able to benefit from it because he's got other cars from us that, you know, get that trickle effect.
Sure.
Okay.
So-
Well, it's kind of like you had the Dark Horse on the lift, and you're like, oh, this looks exactly like my GT500 from the previous generation.
Yeah.
So that's also like, it's kind of like an OEM approach almost. Like, how can we apply this to all the other cars?
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, yes. I mean, because they have their halos, they have their development mules, and they,
Sure.
you know, try and push and find out where those limitations are, and then rinse, repeat, try again.
Yeah.
What about, like, we didn't touch on this nearly enough last time, your NA builds. Is
Yeah.
there any crossover between the twin turbo stuff and the NA projects that come through here?
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly, yeah. I'm just gonna say certainly and not say anything else. No.
So
I
I'll
guess.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we as a group really subscribe to the theory of like our turbo cars. We very rarely ever run them at over 1-to-1 manifold pressure to exhaust back pressure. Meaning, like, so if you've got 20 pounds of boost in the intake manifold, you're measuring 20 psi in the exhaust manifold pre-turbine wheel. That is, a lot more people measure that now, and that's good. They should be measuring it. You should know what that is. We tend to stop progressing on that combination once we hit that 1-to-1 mark. We rarely let ourselves go up and over that. If you were to do some data scouring on that, you'll find out quite a few people are fine with running at 2-to-1 or worse. So maybe they got 20 pounds in the manifold, they got 40, in the exhaust manifold at that point. When you do that, that's when people talk about a turbo cam or a NA cam or whatever, right? But like in the way that we see it and what we've tried to achieve is that like if we keep that thing under that 1-to-1 pressure ratio, that engine does not know it's a turbocharged engine in that regard. Like the induction layout, like the intake manifold to exhaust manifold pressure ratio is not in a position that it would think it's turbocharged because it is not corked in the exhaust manifold pre-turbine wheel. So now principles that apply to an NA car are completely applicable to that turbo engine over here, right?
Sure.
That's the way that we tend to try to look at things. And there's a lot of different ways to go about it, and there's probably people that think that maybe isn't a good idea and they would like to do it this way, and that's great too. But it works well for us. We get to run lower shaft speed on our turbochargers traditionally. I think you can get away with different creative turbo sizing versus engine combination at that point when the engine behaves like that. The combustion chamber is a happier place. Like it's harder to run yourself into problems like that, in my opinion. So yeah, a lot of these things that we're developing in like a car like Kratos, that's a development car. There's airflow principles that are applicable to that NA aspect at that point. And we've been doing that and we've been seeing that, and that's been really, really cool.
Well, one of the things we talked about with Greg Banish when we had him on the show, I think it was because he was playing around with straight pipe versus his Jezzy Cat setup.
Okay.
And I think it was something like for every, pound of back pressure or whatever, 1 PSI back pressure, it was like costing him 3 horsepower on his specific setup. Did you ever measure what that equivalent would look like for you, or not really? Or
not in a like per pound ratio layout. I just know that because of the way that we design our engines, if we go beyond 1-to-1, if we have enough overlap in the cam profile or the timing events of the valves at that point, you're washing the chamber, right? Like there's more want for the exhaust pressure to win over the induction pressure at that point. And we don't want that because that exhaust gas is inert. It's the oxygen should be mostly gone at that point. So you don't want that back in the chamber. You want that out. So not so much in the aspect of like, hey, let's put these little, a continually more reducer to like define what does that power change there. More like, hey, pressure bad. No, do that. That kind of.
Just a binary kind of answer. It's like we don't need the specifics, yes or no.
Does that make it so that a customer, if they wanted to do an NA build and then go to a turbo build, that you're getting a lot of the same motor aspects in adding that later is not a major change?
Good question, but no. And it'd be cool if it was, but the connecting rod that we run in the turbo motor, just plain and simple, has to endure more stresses than what in the per cylinder pressure we're making in the NA motor. So we may as well make it lighter then. And the piston design, we may as well like lighten that up and make that more applicable to what that engine's going to get used like. So it's a very good thought. And in principle, yes, it could play out that way. But practical and real world, we don't do that.
Okay.
Do you see, again, it's only been 1 year, so I can only imagine how many builds you've had commissioned since, but are you starting to see more people want to get some NA builds? Well, actually, forget that question entirely.
Okay.
I want to talk about throwing Motec on NA builds.
Okay.
Because there's Doug's, the red car that was recently at Road America.
Yeah.
And then obviously Adam's car is an NA. What is it? This isn't a 9-liter. It's
no, it's a
heads cam.
Yeah, what they would call the prefix stage 2 8.4 head cam car.
What's there to be gained from upgrading a, let's call it a 10-year-old ECU to Motec?
Do I give the smart-ass answer or the...
Some people are screaming at the windshield.
I just want to say 0, right? Because like I want I want to impress the point of like, power is not necessarily what we're after in that change, right? Yep. But that's what a lot of people want to believe, and especially because like, oh, I spent this money. Like, what power did I get from it?
Well, the internet comments want power.
Of course, no doubt.
But there's other things.
I understand the desire, right? Sure. But like, if the engine was calibrated well on whatever it was running on before, there isn't necessarily like the trap door is opened when you press this key over here and like all this power shows up on this different ECU. Now, if this one that you were on before was acting inappropriately or programmed poorly or any number of things like that, well then, maybe, sure, there's something to be had there. That doesn't even get into the function of aggressiveness, right, or anything like that. But the Viper is a really good example for that question, largely because of what we've tried to help people understand with it, that the Gen 5 Viper runs on the same PC architecture or ECU architecture that the Gen 4 Viper was on, which debuted in 2008. Like in 2005 and 6, there were mule cars running around with that electronics in it. But like, when was that ECU, like the hardware, when was that actually produced or engineered at that point, right? Like, how old's that phone? If that phone's 2 years old, like most people don't even have a 2-year-old phone anymore now, right? Like it's like, oh, that piece of junk, But like I don't use a Gateway 2000 up in my front office, with the cow background or whatever,
I don't know what that is, Dan.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Come on, really? That's funny.
It was like in every office building ever.
It's an old computer, okay?
Sure.
Not as old as there's a Commodore or something. I'm not that old, but nevertheless, it's better technology, faster processing speed. Like many of the same reasons that people want the latest, greatest phone is another good reason to have the latest, greatest ECU. And so when you can take something from calibration strategy and just capability, like how fast does that processor think? Like what availability of table and information is in that compared to what we think of now when we talk about an internal combustion engine? I mean, in 2006, like you were a bad mamma jamma if you had 400 horsepower, right? And like now I think like a minivan has that or something today, right? So it's like that the escalation in tech has been really, really, really substantial in that time period. And so you may as well take advantage of it on the ECU side. So, and then you get into the like, okay, we can do protection safeties, like oil pressure, fuel pressure, coolant pressure, whatever.
I think somebody commented about that. Some sort of safeties like save their, it might have been
Doug's car, like, and that's a great example. Like he had an oil pressure trip. So I threw the warning, it was calibrated to throw the warning light up, put it into kind of a limp mode momentarily, wait for that condition to clear, and then let him keep going again. And then he got a hold of me after. He's like, hey, it did this thing. And I'm like, well, if all your temps and pressures were good, the goal is to make you scan all your gauges right then, right? Like, okay, temps, pressures, everything's good. He has a Motec SLM shift light module, so that LED layout. I put it on full blue, as bright as it'll go when it's like a warning condition is on. And then when that clears, it means, hey, everything's fine again. You can, proceed to be in a hooligan. When we looked at the log, like it was just a really quick little oil pressure trip in there. It did that. Like that's real. That happened. But he would have never known. He would have never seen the gauge flicker. The latency in the gauge would probably never even pick it up, right? Or like the filtering or whatever, I mean, OEMs do things so they don't freak out customers, right? It's like, why do coolant temp gauges not even have any numbers on them anymore? They're just like, put it in the middle. Oh, it's in the middle. It's good, right? Like, well, what is the middle? Like what temperature is that? So most ECUs wouldn't even see it. And if you have the ability to then do that, and protect that owner in that case. Like what if that had been more severe? What if that had been like the car was low on oil or he had an oil line come off and he's actually lost pressure now and like it it enables us to like warn him, tell him you've got a problem, get off the track, whatever. That could save your engine. It has. I can assure you it's saved people an entire engine before. And then you get into traction control. That car has a sequential gearbox, so we do closed loop control on the sequential.
Is that like 6XD?
It is a 6XD in there, yep. The best sequential gearbox ever.
Yeah, which that episode will air 2 weeks before this one.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right, I'll look forward to that. Clay's an awesome dude. Rick, those guys that fantastic people to work with. Take a ton of pride in their stuff. I'm sure you guys saw.
Oh yeah.
Like really, really good people.
Lots of jewelry in that place.
Oh man,
lots of bling.
That's why we worked with them to do our 6060 main case. So we drew up what we needed to do for clearances for our gear set, and then we worked with Clay and said, hey, you guys make transmission cases. Like, this is a lot easier for you than it is for us.
Sure.
Can we contract you to make this TR6060 main case for us? And so that's who makes our
okay, I was going to bring it up, but I didn't want them to know you were doing transmission stuff on the side, but it's with him, so it's all right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Hey, I never know. We bounce around so many people, I'm afraid of talking to...
So like TIC Performance, which people, they've got, like, when I pitched that thing to Clay, like... we use enough of them, right? But like Viper's, it's not as busy as other markets, plain and simple. So when we talked about how to make this make sense for everybody, the plan then was like, hey, like you can sell it to TIC. It just won't have our logo on it at that point. But ours have our logo, and we've got a couple other small things that are different.
Sure.
But that way everybody benefits from it. Like, we get what we need. He gets to make some money over there. The guys at TIC can help, and not many people had ever broken that stuff or felt the need for a main case, but we're just out in la la land with like how heavy the cars are, how much torque they make, all that. So we just found more limitations. So anyways.
That's what's in
diverted there.
Like Sal's car, for example, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Or Eric Nabola's car. That's the one that just went 229 in Kansas in the half mile. So.
I'm gonna try my best, because these are all topics I'm gonna get to, because these are all...
okay. We're moving around now?
They're such awesome topics, but I do want to come back to the Motec and the NA car before we depart from that topic.
Good. Way to wrangle me back in there. I like that.
I'm trying to wrangle myself here. Okay, so because it's been a reoccurring topic in the Viper forums, I'm sure that same package could apply to, I guess, any vehicle.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess, what are the main selling points when you're trying to not necessarily talk someone into it, but if somebody's interested in this, how do they justify, what is it, like 15,000, give or take $5,000 in each direction, something like that?
Yep.
How do they justify that investment over an ECU that's already been doing kind of the job, but how do they justify that leap?
Have either of you guys ever had a car that did something, sorry, I had too long of a pause, right? That did something that frustrated you so much you just didn't really want to drive it?
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah. I'm telling you, so as he's talking about this, I'm in this boat right now. There is a Motec option for my GT500, what you saw out there.
Yep.
I could spend $1,500 and have somebody tune my ECU.
Yep.
Or I spend $15,000, because that's what it is for that package as well with tuning. So I'm on this fence right now. Okay. So tell me why I should go one way or the other.
I don't know if your car suffers from the same situation that some others might. And what I mean by that is, let's use Doug's car as an example. Okay. So it had a 9-liter stroker engine with a rowdy cam and ported heads and all this stuff from another company. And I don't like Prefix that did it. Great guys. Really like them. They utilize the factory PCM, which I'm so jealous that they can, because we have to try to use HP tuners and it's really not good.
Sure.
And they have access to the OE PCM. They calibrate it for that combination, and it's kind of like a flash, call it a box tune type thing. So it probably works like pretty darn well in most people's cars. Okay. And they do. Like, we've had them quite a few through here for different service or parts or the Motec upgrades or whatever. You get a little bit of variance in how they drive, and like kind of to be expected, right? If you get a box tune for your SCT programmer or whatever, like it only works so well on every car at that point. Doug's car had been upfitted with lightweight flywheel and clutch assembly, sequential transmission, different things, and it was awful to drive. Awful. Not Prefix's fault. It's just the combination at that point was not good. And the only way you were going to get around that was to have an ECU capable and a calibration that's done well enough to make all those things jive together. And so we went from a car that, like, we didn't even make it to the end of the road here. He was like, well, let me show you what it does. And we didn't even make it to 4th Ave. And I was like, no, just turn around. It's fine. Like,
I get it.
Like, yeah, like, we'll be all right. So get it back. He gets back in it. And like, now it can idle off the clutch, off the throttle, and just drive itself through a parking lot. And like, no problem, whatever. Like, everything is better. Because I had the ability to tell it what I needed to tell it to get it to work that we needed it to work.
You don't use a computer from 2006, so why should your build? Why put thousands of dollars into your project only to be limited by a stock ECU that's over a decade old? Even some OEM calibrators are impressed with modern day functionality of standalones featuring advanced launch control, traction control, and of course for those who aren't fans of unscheduled rapid disassembly, engine protection features. Go to TuneBySean, SHAWN.com, look at some of the plug-and-play kits available and various Haltech goodies you can save 5% on using code Minnoxide. Not a bad idea to shoot him a message either. Link in description. Let's get back to the show.
I don't know if you're in that position with the GT500 that you've done enough stuff to it that it's like not quite happy about everything.
I'm sure it would be happy. My biggest thing is I want the safety features.
That's kind of a big deal.
Because you, like you said, you talked about all the gauges. I'm not looking at those all the time.
No.
It's hard. And then as you keep modding stuff, they want you to fuel pressure, oil pressure, temps. Like, you're watching a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Am I supposed to watch the road or watch these 13 gauges I've got going on
Correct.
here?
Right.
Yeah.
So you want the ECU to do all that work for you at that point.
Right.
And you actually want to be able to monitor it. Fuel pressure is a great example. There is no fuel pressure sensor on a Viper. So if the fuel system is declining in capacity because it's old, fuel filter, pump, whatever, right? Like, the stock ECU doesn't know. So like, what happens? Like, well, if fuel pressure goes down, like, fuel volume delivered at the same injector pulse width is now considerably less, and it has no way to fix that. Whereas, like, we put a fuel pressure sensor on it, so we can watch that and monitor that and adjust accordingly. So there's a lot of things that you can do that you just might not, your hands might be tied. Flex fuel, you should be able to do that on a Motec
I want to
package at that
do
point.
flex fuel is another big reason I was looking at that.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of like a no-brainer. I'm a nerd, and I really appreciate that stuff. So, but if you think about if it saves one time, it saves your engine, like, it paid for itself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not exactly a cheap engine in that car either.
No.
No. So,
well, the big thing that for him too is, like, he does these cross-country road rallies. Like, some people are like, oh, just throw some ethanol in there or whatever. It's like, sure, but then we're back at the same issue. Yeah. It's like, what if we can't find that good E or whatever it is?
I tell you what, that you talked about is your car. My car works great as is, right? And even if I do the tune, it'll still work great. But the gas station anxiety is what pisses me off the most. Testing E85, finding E85, finding 93.
Yeah, forget
Once
that.
you tune, 91 is now dead to me, basically. Unless it's even got 10% ethanol, is a little bit better.
Sure.
I have my dad now as a modded car, and he's constantly like, can I get gas here? Can I get gas here? I'm like, dude, I told you, I need to write it down for him.
Yeah. No, I mean, those are all realities.
Yep.
Right? So it's really nice when you can eliminate that out of your life. And those little things, it's like, we do clutches a lot with RPS, with the carbon clutches and stuff. It's like, a clutch can ruin a car. If you've got a clutch in a car that, like, just makes you aggravated to drive it, like, you'll end up just resenting the car. And if your car does weird hiccups or burps or whatever, or if it's constantly giving you anxiety because you got to plan your trip based on where can you get fuel and stuff, like, that's not for me. I don't. And you don't have to. Like, nowadays, the technology is there to be able to not have to.
Well, I see all these
that.
GM guys running around with flex fuel, and they're just happy rolling it anywhere. So yeah, it's hard for me to give them shit when I gotta do all this stuff.
gotta keep that game strong.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, GM's kind of killing it right now.
Yeah. They're not doing too bad.
Yeah. I know that was hard. It's okay.
It was
it's hard
really
for me
hard.
too.
It was really hard. Yeah.
Hey, look, my Dodge boys don't even make a cool car anymore.
Yeah.
So, and that's really hard for me.
Oh, we'll discuss that too.
No.
We'll see if we get to that, because we're going to Woodward next week, and I'm going to be talking to people and be like, what are we going to do about this situation?
Yeah.
Well, you're the whole reason we're going. Like, obviously, we were initially talking about, like, how many trips we wanted to do within, a 2-3 week span, right? Because Dan's got responsibilities. I actually have to do work once in a while.
Oh, that's weird.
I'm bringing all my responsibilities with me, by the way. We're making a family trip out of it.
Oh, cool. All right, great.
But it's like, all right, power crews or woodworking. You were like, this is the topic we're discussing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to woodward now.
Awesome.
Surprise.
Awesome.
But how do we get on that? I'm blanked on it. Getting you. No Dodge stuff.
OEM, no Dodge. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's bring it back to what we were talking about, the 6060 here.
Okay.
You've had a lot of success with that. These are 4,000-pound cars with 2,600 horsepower.
Sometimes, yep.
Or give or take, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How difficult is that to accomplish? Right? Were you doing the designing on this? Were you bouncing ideas around with 660, for example? How did that process work?
As far as the transmission gear set itself? Yeah, so we tried everything that everyone made already.
Okay.
And like some of it was really good, just couldn't quite get to where we were going, or it would be good for what we were doing, and then we're like, oh well, now that that's good, like bummer. And so that just kept happening, and it seemed obvious to me that there was a demand for people to keep the cars being a traditional 6-speed layout, an H-pattern 6-speed layout, but be able to hold our bigger power combinations at that point. So that turned into partnering up with a gear set manufacturer as like, hey, look, we have the vehicle to destroy whatever you want to put behind it. So like, let's try that, right? Are you game? Like we can work together and we can make this thing like be pretty awesome, because if it can survive this, it can probably deal with most everybody else's stuff at that point in time. So that was kind of the objective or the motive behind it at that point. And so with that, there's been plenty of growing pains or evolutionary changes, you could say. And like anything, now it's working really well at 2,000. Let's try 2,200, and then then let's try 24, and then let's, and then you've got repetition. How many runs, cycles are we getting out of it? You've got driver input, right? Like there's a person operating this thing. How does that impact this? And then there's calibration, because that's a big part of it. People don't necessarily understand that when you get rid of a synchronizer assembly inside a manual transmission, you get rid of the thing that's kind of like keeping everything in jive. So now you've got a lot of opportunity for lash in the gear set and herkin and jerkin and stuff like that. And that can be circumvented largely by engine calibration. And so you kind of need to be on both sides of it to be able to get it to be as nice as what we have, I think.
So there's no synchro in your TR6060s?
No, none.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
None. Just like a motorcycle or a semi-truck or, anything that doesn't require a purse to shift. Sorry, no.
Hey, I have a Tick TR6060 in my orange car, but it does have synchros in it.
Yeah. And that's great.
800 horsepower is fine.
And there's pros and cons to all of it, but at the end of the day, for the amount of performance that we're trying to achieve, the synchro is a wear item. So I just don't necessarily feel like it's the best way to go if you're kind of knowingly putting this like problem back in there, and it will be a problem sometime down the road.
So you solve that issue. Does it come with its own set of issues then, or things to be aware of?
Yeah, more customer awareness and coaching, like how to drive properly, like how to properly rev match downshift. That's what synchronizers do, is match speed to the driven and non-driven gears at that point. And they aren't there anymore. So now you have to actually know how to rev match downshift properly, or double clutch like you should, genuinely that's a process that a lot of people don't know. And so you kind of have to teach that then.
So in a way, for those customers, you're kind of making like the perfect manual build then.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're awesome, because like you can drive it around, you still drive it like a normal car, like everything about it. It makes more noise when you shift the gears, like ka-kung, like real nice, solid, almost like a bolt action rifle, if anybody's a weaponry kind of person. But you get the potential, if you want to then instrument that and utilize that to where you can shift it wide open throttle without using the clutch. And that's what every fast manual transmission race car in the world does. And that's, I mean, motorcycles, there's just about nobody that doesn't have like a shift cut set up on their motorcycle or something. Like that's all normal. So yeah, it's kind of taken older tech and reinventing it and modernizing it and implementing it in this stuff.
And you said that's the setup that was in Eric's car, correct?
Yep.
Was it, if I remember did he set a record of some kind too, or no?
Yeah, for shift sector, I hope people caught it. This is like one of the great things of like, you know, redactions in a newspaper that nobody ever sees. But like everybody at the event was like, that's the fastest half-mile world record manual transmission, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
That's a long list of...
Yeah, it was a lot of syllables.
Yeah. Blue car, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, so like all this was going on. So like I, like any idiot on social media nowadays was like, oh man, we set this record, how cool. And then somebody mentioned Kevin at M2K Motorsports with their 4GT when it went 300 in the mile. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna text Kev real quick. He's like, hey man, what'd you guys run in the half? And he's like, 244. I was like, yeah, okay. My bad. And he said, he's like, hey, I know, no problem. And I, but the next day I actually posted like, hey, our mistake, like it is the record for the manual transmission class of shift sector, like all their half mile stuff. And
just had one more category on there.
Yeah, it became like defined to like their events. Like, okay, whatever.
Sure.
It's really fast. Like, I don't care what asterisks you want to try to put by it. It's really fast. Yeah.
Well, it was, I think, 4 miles an hour off of the actual just Viper record period for a half mile, if I remember correctly.
I think that is correct. Yeah. I don't keep up with that stuff too much because we don't have too many people that are like real keyed in on the half mile stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I believe it's 233.
I think that's what Calvo
and
had.
Change.
But,
yeah. And that would make sense. I know that I know the white ACR at Abilene, they went, I think Ryan Lukowski was driving it then. It went 233.
I think that's what it was.
Point something.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, that would be the fastest Gen 5.
Right.
Not Viper, but Gen 5.
Well, that was also Eric's, and I was kind of texting back and forth with him on whatever social platform nowadays. We were talking on 6 platforms at the same time.
Multiple conversations.
Yeah. That was his first time driving that car full tilt too, right?
Yeah, in anger, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's had it for quite a while, maybe almost a year. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's driven it at like, maybe it's running 15 pounds of boost or something, and maybe he took it to 6,500 RPM or something like that. Like really, I mean,
only 1,500 horsepower.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, actually, yes, you know. And he was like, "Wow, this thing's really fast." I was like, "You just wait," you know. And then he sent it back here. That car used to have the factory case still, and so he sent it back here, and we did the billet case in it and a couple of updates on it, whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And then he came here. You met up with us, didn't you? Did we go to barbecue?
Yes.
Yeah, right over here when Adam came down and all that. Yeah. So okay, yeah, in the GTSR when we were making hits in that car, that's the first time he had ever felt that thing like do what it can do. And that was still kind of like a mild-ish kind of thing.
Sure.
So yeah, that was like his experience as passenger at that point, because I don't know who was driving. And then when we went to the half mile, which he just like sprung on us, I don't know, like a week before or something, he's like, I'm thinking about doing this. I was like, yeah, I don't know, could be fun. And
he just put the coffee down quietly, like, all right, go on, see ya. Just quietly set it down.
Yeah, but no, he did such a good job in that car.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of car. And and he took instruction extremely well, gave really, really, really good feedback on like what he was feeling in the car and what, like how it was going, so that I could make changes to try to help work for him. And yeah, I mean, I think he missed 5th the first run because it's funny in the shift sector stuff, there's like this whole thing now between like synchronized or not. It's like, well, no one else in the manual transmission world does that at all. Like there's no version of that differentiation. But for some reason that, I don't know, whatever, it's fine. But they, anyways, it's still a manual transmission. Like he still has to shift it, and you can still do it wrong, and he did. And he missed fifth, and it coasted, and he went through the traps at like 162 or something. And his family was there and his friends and all that, and I could kind of sense a little bit of like I don't know if that was really that good, right? And so like we get back and pull the data out of it, and he missed the gear change. That car goes fourth to fifth if he's all the way out at the shift light at like 196 or something like that, I think.
Okay.
So he missed the 4 to 5 at like 183 and then coasted for like 2.5 seconds or something, and it went 162. So when you like put that together, it's like, oh, that's going to be fast.
It was cooking.
Yeah, and so then I think his next run, I think he went 217 on the very next run, and then
quite the jump.
Then missed a gear again. Then I did some cut strategy changes and kind of helped coach him through some of that, and then he, I don't remember the progression at this point, but ultimately went into the 220s, and then the wind shifted, and dark clouds were coming. The temp fell, and I looked over and was like, suit on, like go, like right now, get up there kind of thing. And he ran up there, we iced it up. And it was a lot of fun. His wife and his son and daughter were there, and they were helping ice the car and everything. And so he got up there, and it goes to show how impactful aero is at that level. I mean, it's got all the ACR aero on there, and by that wind coming from broad and coming behind all of a sudden, like I did nothing different to the car calibration wise, and it went from going like 220, mid 220s or something. He nailed the shift light. I mean, like a pro on every one of the runs. Like it was an ideal run, and then went 229.82 or 83 or something like that. So it was pretty amazing. I was really proud of him. He did such a good job. That's a really fast car.
Well, not bad for that was his first event, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not too bad coming out the gate.
It's kind of a high bar. So
it's all downhill.
Well, I had to tell him after, I was like, hey, you got to like realize, like, I mean, we so what that car makes for power and capacity, that's
sure.
That's it. That's what it can do. And the weather was kind of just right. Like the air quality could have been better for making power, but the conditions of the wind and the way the temp came in and the track surface, all of that, is like there's not a lot to ask for to be better.
That was Indy, right?
That was in Kansas.
That was Kansas. Okay, gotcha.
Yep, Independence, Kansas.
Oh, that's right. Okay, What does coaching look like? Like, what are these conversations you're having with, I guess, the customers?
Oftentimes it has a lot to do with kind of like trying to get the jitters out of them.
Sure.
Like, I mean, it's for those that haven't driven something like that, and especially not with repetition, like there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of noises. There's a lot of like covering that distance and that speed. You know, I think we've referenced this before, but like 200 miles an hour is about a football field per second of ground coverage. Yeah. And so like when you're in the car, like 230 almost, like that's, you know, I told his family, I was like, you'll see, like when he comes back after another run, I was like, watch his hands, you know, and like he gets out of the car and he's sitting there and his hands are sitting there shaking. You know, right. And it's like, yeah, because that's what happens. Like it's a huge adrenaline load. And so a lot of it is kind of trying to coach through that of like, hey, you're doing a really good job, like not falsely, like telling him like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Like here's
no
what
white lies.
Yeah, no, like I don't think that's not my style. I don't think that helps. I'd rather tell somebody like, hey man, like we got to back it up a little bit here, you know, like, but he was doing a really good job and just kind of giving him the confidence that he knows how to do it. He knows how to do it right. Little pointers of what to do with, I mean, even your elbow is like the positioning of your elbow in that car to shift properly. Like that's a big deal. And that's probably why it strikes a chord for me when people try to get all uppity over this synchro or non thing. It's like, dude, if the guy doesn't move his arm, it doesn't shift. Like it's a manual transmission. Like you got to do it. And if you do it wrong, you break the car or you ruin the run or like any multitude of things. Like there's a lot of what ifs that are still over here, right? Sequential, that's why sequentials aren't in manual transmission. That's an I pattern shifter, you know, only forward and back. And you're moving a barrel in the transmission. I don't know if you guys get into all this with Clay, but they would be the ones to show you all that stuff. But that lever is moving a barrel system, which that barrel system has a worm gear path that moves the forks to where they're supposed to go. You cannot do it wrong other than just not pull it all the way, or its calibration strategy of the shift cut or something like that. But there is no version of like, oh, I missed fourth. Like, nope. No, like it just, you pull the lever and it goes to fourth.
Yeah.
So either fourth wasn't there in the gearbox or like something else happened, right? So to that point, like there's still a lot of driver element required to do the job right in the car, whether it's got a synchronizer ring in the transmission or not.
Okay.
Do you find, so this is an extreme whatever, but we'll go to a track day and sometimes my wife will join me and I'll put her in the seat and then I'll send her out there and she'll go. And I have to constantly tell her, it's like, listen, I take that corner at this speed. You need to trust your car a little bit more. Do you find yourself doing that as they're getting into something like that?
Yeah, usually it's in the low speed stuff, right? Because it's intimidating, like especially if they've already made a pass.
Right.
They know what's coming, right? They know that power rush is coming on. And so, but still, it's still kind of a drag race in my mind. Like you can't eat up a bunch of distance from the start line and expect to run really fast. Like you're shortening the racetrack on yourself. So we tend to like get the guys to leave and like launch the car, semi-launch, whatever, like, but accelerate hard through first gear. You'll see a lot of people kind of like casually go through first and then like get into it at that point, and like, that's cool. You can do that too. I feel like you're maybe leaving something on the table that way. But getting Eric comfortable with the idea of like, look, let the car do its thing. Like, don't shift until that shift light comes on. Like when that shift light comes on, you do your thing, right? But wait. And so if you listen to the video really carefully, you can hear it ride the TC, like a little bit of wheel slip, and like I'm picturing it in the log and I can like hear it kind of thing, like a little bit of slip, and it wrangles it in and pulls it in, and he drives it all the way up to the shift point, 79.80 or whatever. I think he was right. He was just shy of $8,000 on that one. And he nails the 1 to 2 and nails it on the 2 to 3. So he trusted that the car was going to manage it. He just had to steer it and keep it doing what it needed to do, is keep his foot down, hit his shift timing when he needed to, and he just did a marvelous job. So yes, you got to kind of teach them to have the confidence in themselves and in the equipment at that point that it can do the job you're asking it.
So you obviously have some auto setups and some manual setups. Do you have a lot of sequential stuff out there still? Because I know like Adam used to have it. Now he's auto.
Yep.
Do you still have a lot of that out there then, or?
A lot probably wouldn't be the right word.
Sure.
But certainly plenty.
Sure.
They're awesome. Like if 6XD makes it. There's others too, but like that one's really good.
For your purposes, that seems to be the best.
In my opinion, like that 6XDX unit, the stronger yet one, that's the Mac Daddy. It's so good.
You'll hear it in the episode when it drops. They haven't found the limit, is what he said multiple times. And he's like, if somebody's going to find it. So, yeah.
You can ask him how that went for us before.
Oh, I think we talked about that too.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Iterations and
we
I think you're the reason there is an X.
No, we found the limit.
Yep.
I mean, I say that now with a smile. It wasn't very smiley at the time.
I bet.
But and not necessarily their fault, but there and again, there's a good example of like setting the expectations, right? Like they just flat out didn't understand how much torque abuse we can put this stuff through if we want to.
Do you surprise yourself? Do you ever sit down and you call them a dyno pole? No, seriously, do you ever sit back and go, holy shit?
Yeah.
I mean, does that happen every time, or is that, you've got more in stuff, or?
If you asked my wife, and she's probably the right person to ask about this, like, one of the things she criticizes me, maybe not criticizes, maybe coaches, right?
Yep.
And she's an angel to deal with me to begin with, but like she always says that I never really take the time to enjoy the victories.
Yeah.
So like once we like hit this achievement or win something or whatever, it's like 10 minutes later, it's like, okay, cool. Like, well, what did we learn and what can we do better now? And like here. So in rare instances, like the first time we ever cleared 3,000 wheel in here on Juggernaut, that was like a oh my gosh, like just never really thought that was going to be a thing. And now it's like, I don't want to call it normal, but it's like, it's there if we want it, whenever we kind of want it with certain cars. So yeah, that's, I guess, surprising. Yes, it is surprising sometimes, but I'm not very good at like relishing in that surprise for too terribly long. So just recently, we've made some really, really incredible discoveries and changes with induction layout and cylinder head and valve train and all kinds of cool things with the Viper motor stuff, to where we haven't told anybody, talking about it yet, kind of thing. We'll wait, but like the engine's desire to run at an RPM range naturally, like really wanting to be there, is a very new thing that we've kind of we didn't stumble on it, but like it's something we've been working really, really hard on, and it's proving itself as well worth the effort. And those things I really am motivated by. I think that's really cool because it's been a challenge. And it's like, no, like stay the course. Like we can do this, and there's a reason we're doing this. And then when you get to see that, like kind of proof, it's pretty exciting.
Do you have any roads you've gone down that you've had to ditch?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When do you give up?
You know what breaks my heart? No, it's not the 2% female demographic. It's the fact that 80% of you guys are not subscribed and following the show. So go ahead, hit subscribe or follow. And of course, if you're on YouTube, hit that bell so you are notified when we drop a new episode. Let's get back to the show.
Probably too late.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Is it usually a time thing or a financial thing? Both, maybe?
It's probably dumber. Equally bad, but like it probably hurts more on the time than it does on the finances, if that sounds right. Like nobody likes to burn money for development and get nowhere on it, but it's harder. Like you don't get that time back, and so that's kind of a harder thing to.
If you'd have focused that time somewhere else, you might have been more productive.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know, right?
That's true.
So like and so we get that, like even what I was just talking about, this like engine development discovery that we've done here recently. It's like, man, we have other engines that we could have maybe been implementing that same change in at the same time while that car was waiting for that engine for this or for this or this, but we couldn't do it yet because we didn't know.
Right.
Like we thought we knew, but we didn't know. But then by the time we knew, like, well, that car's already together now. And it's like, well, do we take it back apart? Because now we know. And now we know that there's something that's missing over there. And that's where we as a group are not very good at leaving that stuff alone. So, but yeah, no, we've tried things that didn't work, or tried things that, maybe a good example that is, we did a turbo system that we have like families of our turbo systems for the Vipers, like the Delta series, then the Zenith series, and we R&D'd one called the Origin series. It's all plays on math terms of things, you know. And but the Origin series concept was, hey, let's try to do a turbo system that isn't quite as overly engineered as like what we kind of do on everything else. It was based around OEM exhaust manifolds that would be modified because they're not that bad of a piece if you do it right. And then the thought was like, well, we don't have to do like all the latest, greatest turbocharger technology. And like, well, we could do an air to air, and like maybe the fuel system doesn't have to be as robust or as crazy as what we normally do. And conceptually, it was a good idea. And it worked. Like, I mean, we built the car, we did fixture work, like we had all this kind of geared up as the idea of like, let's do this. But what we realized is by the time we actually got the car done, so many times we looked at it, we're like, man, we can't leave it like that because like we know we can do this better. And then like all of a sudden the fuel system was like not that far off from what we normally do, or like we couldn't use not good turbos. And then all of a sudden like, well, we may as well do, you know, Garrett dual ball bearing water cooled center cartridges and run all the water lines like you should, and like all that stuff. Because would it have worked just the same? Yes. Would it have been what we want is representative of Nth Moto for everyone? No. And so that was the decision that we had to make then, that we basically like burned that time. So there's one out there that Ryan owns, and the car's awesome. He just, like what we told him he was going to get, he got a whole lot more when it was done.
Yeah.
And it turned out great, and he's really happy, and that's lovely. But we just couldn't bring ourselves to not do it as
So you
nice
toyed with
as,
a budget build, basically.
kind of, yeah. I mean, yes, price was the objective,
Yeah.
right? And ultimately, it just felt like we were doing ourselves kind of a disservice, because like we knew how to build a car better than that.
Mhm.
So do we want to? And we're really, really thankful. I'm very thankful. I'm sure everybody here is, that we're fortunate that we've worked ourselves into a position that we get the opportunity to choose if we want to do something or not do something.
Mhm.
We're not forced into like, oh, we have to, offer this or something. Like, we don't. And I actually just recently listened to something from the guys at Tin Soldiers Race Cars on their YouTube channel. Really, really, really good little workup quick, where they kind of explained why they stopped doing customer builds and moved into parts manufacturing. And he relates it in there with his faith, and talking through some scripture in there, and like relaying that. And it was like, it really touched for me on a couple of things. And he made that point of saying, like, we're really so fortunate that we get to choose what we want to say yes or not to. Mm-hmm. So maybe kind of what you're saying on the surprise thing, or like what I'm referencing that my wife says, like, you don't relish those victories. Like, it's pretty great that we can be in a position that I can listen to somebody say, hey, I'm really interested in this project, and we can make a decision as to whether we want to or not want to at that point.
Right.
There. Well, I veered a little with that, didn't I?
No,
Sorry.
actually,
No,
I'm going to jump right off that. What's your favorite yes you've said?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's really hard.
Because they're just all no's and stuck, or?
No. Juggernaut's got to be one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that still is probably one of the prettiest race car engine bays ever. Like,
yes.
And I'm fine. I will be proud and say that. Like, prove me wrong. Like, that thing is awesome.
Well, what was the question that you said yes to in that case then?
Would we do it?
Okay.
Oh, would I sell the car? I had to sell it. I owned that car, and I sold it to Will, and then built it into that. That was not an easy yes for me. So,
sure.
So I'm really glad it worked out that way.
Sure.
And he was the right guy for it.
Right.
Because that I mean, so many great things have come out of that with our relationship with Will and Rachel. But that's probably got to be one of them.
Did he come with because I don't know that relationship very well. Did he come with a certain criteria, like, here, I need to do this, this, and this, or?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was like we had built a silver ACR already.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus. I think it was it may have been a stock motor turbo car at that point in time still.
Sure.
And then he had a red Gen 2 Viper back in the day. Mm-hmm. Actually, I inadvertently saw him at Texas 2K when I was just there as a spectator walking around kind of thing. And I, have this fetish for Viper stuff, and I saw it. I remember, like, CCW SP600 wheels, and it had this side mount intercooler system because it had this really old CPE turbo kit on it, and blah, blah, blah. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. He did not really like it. Anyways, like, he came with this idea. Is like, man, I kind of like really want to build like a drag Viper. Like, does that sound interesting to you? I was like, yes, I love drag racing and I love Vipers. Like, tell me more. And then we got talking about it, and I was like, well, I happen to have this car that like has a chassis already done, and it's a Viper, and like that would work, right? And so that's kind of how that started.
And I also happen to do
yeah. So that's kind of how that
Sure.
spawned. And what we had originally thought, the whole thing was like, if we just took what we had done with the silver car and done it in a Gen 2, but put an automatic and went drag racing with it, like, it'd be a pretty fast car. Mm-hmm. And that was correct. It would, if that's all we did. And then it went from like that to what it is all in one fell swoop. So we went from like, hey, a 1200 to 1400 horsepower turbo drag Viper might be cool, or 30 whatever hundred, that could be cool too. So it escalated very quickly.
Yeah. What was the first drag Viper you guys built?
Well, that one was probably it as far as like really dedicated at that.
Sure.
We had built the Blue 06 Coupe. That was the first car we ever did, and that kind of transitioned into doing some drag racing. I think that happened before we did Juggernaut. It's kind of test my memory a little bit.
I'll just go dig through your YouTube.
Yeah,
you have a lot of cool stuff on the YouTube. Like, what was that? It was like a 2J powered like Formula car or something.
Oh yeah, that's your local.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that thing again?
So Don Groff is the guy's name. One of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Sure.
So intelligent. Really, really amazing metal craftsman. He built the whole car.
Okay.
Like the car. Like the chassis, the body, the like concept, the engine. Like it's two 1JZ super engines that he built a crankcase for, had Scat make a crankshaft to attach them like for the proper cylinder timing and all that. He cut one of the cylinder heads in half and cut the end of the cylinder head and flipped the end so all the cam gear, so it'd be a hot V setup. So then he could run one head backwards compared to the other, so it'd be like an old Formula car and all that. And he just made all this stuff, you know. And it's a Corvette T56 transaxle out back, and it's epic. So we did the wiring and tuning on it. That's how we got involved with it. It's such a cool car. And you know, you kind of think about, I mean, we dynoed it in here, right? And it was this car that was like internet legendary. Like, I mean, so many people had seen it, and then we're like, man, we're like making it run right now, you know, and stuff like that. And I remember dynoing it. I had a helmet on because like over your shoulder is the cam gears are right there, and you're watching the belt whip around and stuff. And it didn't like connect for me until after we finished dynoing it. Because all I was thinking was like, oh, if this belt lets go, like that'll be a real bummer, you know, so I want something there. Never did it like occur to me like, hey, this engine this guy made, like if this comes apart, like I don't know what happens, right? But it didn't, and it still hasn't, and but no, and the other thing, I don't remember exactly. It made over 700 wheel at like 15 pounds or something. I mean, just like, and we helped him with the turbo sizing, but he built all that stuff all on his own. And I actually probably see him on Saturday. But really, really, really phenomenal, phenomenal human being. Really admirable person.
I remember watching that video. I'm like, this thing's insane.
Yeah, it sounds.
I didn't know all those extra details. That's even crazier.
It's
to me.
awesome. Yeah, I'll see if I can connect you guys with him. Really, just an amazing man. Built the whole thing. His shop is under his house. Like it's this cool deal. It's like 4-car wide garage that's under, and then through that you get into his metal workshop area. And I mean, he's got like a Bridgeport that's like in between the rafters and stuff. And I mean, it's just like, and it's amazing. He can do some really, really amazing things. And he's got other really cool stuff too that people that he's built up. He did a twin turbo big block Chevy in his Buick convertible that it's got like a Jag E-type style IRS in the back of it and all this stuff. And like the fuel lines, like the injector lines are all, the injector wiring is all hidden in fuel line hard line, so you don't see the wiring going down to the port injection that he built. And I think he did all that stuff in like Don will need to correct me, maybe late 80s, early 90s or something. I mean, they're like Ray J turbochargers, like old aircraft stuff or something. I mean, it's like they're off tangential T4 housings. It's all really like period old school stuff, and it's so cool. So
I fixed a windmill for my dad the other day. I welded it, and there's guys doing this stuff like that.
But you felt victorious.
I did.
Right?
I was like, yeah. And then I hear that story. I go, oh.
Yeah. No, it's a neat thing. I've taken him for some rides in some of our fast stuff, and he's such a gearhead. I remember I took him in a 6-speed ACR that made about $2,000, and I usually ask people, or I tell people, like when it's like a hot run kind of thing, you know, when we're in Mexico, and I'm like, hey, if this doesn't feel good to you, like wave me off, you know. There was no waving off from him at all. And like we found another road that was across the bridge in Canada, and then and I was like, you want to do it again? And he's like, hell yeah, I do, you know. And it kind of like sets in. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, you know. So it's cool because there's so much relatability, even though our age separation is a good bit. And
that's the best thing, isn't it?
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And I look to him as a really good example of a person and things that he's accomplished in ways that he helps people now, because he helps people with metal projects, like, because he just wants to, when he wants to, you know, like he gets to choose to do what he wants to do. So that's a pretty good way to be in life, you know. When people talk about like what is success, like I think success in a lot of ways is like getting to choose what you want to do or not do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
okay,
I got a little philosophical there. Sorry.
I'll bounce right off of that. Why Vipers? Right? We've had this sort of in the past, this discussion, but do you see yourself? Again, I saw you doing the Ford GT stuff. I know you love that, and we have
that's
to
another
talk
really
about
good
that.
yes, by the way.
We forgot it last time. We have to discuss it this time.
Okay.
But why? Is there any other markets that you want to branch into? I mean, I know some of the stuff you've designed can work for other markets.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we can do anything.
I know you love your fair share of 2Js.
Yeah,
as any Viper guy
those
does.
those are cool for sure. The snowmobile stuff that we've been getting into with the guys at Hypersports, that's really cool. I do get a big kick out of that. That's neat. The marine stuff, we've been getting more and more involved in that, and I think that's really cool. I mean, totally hardcore as far as like abuse case on engines and components, but that's cool. So I think there's a lot of neat stuff like that. But as far as like car platform stuff, like I see a trend with like Viper stuff has not slowed down for us at all. Like even though I would have expected it to by now.
Looks full over there.
And we're
you look busy.
Yeah, and we're like the wait time for people is getting a little like where I'm uncomfortable with it. Like I just feel bad saying it. Like I don't know, man. Like we could probably look at doing that sometime next year. I don't know.
Oh, it's back to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
which is a good problem to have in some ways.
In some ways, yes, but not always.
Sure.
Right. So that is that. But there's probably gonna be more race car stuff, like real race car stuff. There's a couple of projects we have coming up that'll be more geared like that. And I have a feeling that when we do that, the way that I know that we can do that, that there's just going to be more that want to do it that way.
Okay.
So what I think.
You see a larger Viper race car market emerging then?
Oh, I didn't say Viper.
Just in
race
general.
car. Yeah. Yep.
When do we get you into doing like pro mods and stuff? Do you see yourself doing that ever? Or?
Well, those are race cars, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I was trying so damn hard to get Adam to go on this drag and drive we were doing in April. That didn't end up happening because of weather, unfortunately.
Oh, bummer.
Weather, you mean tornadoes?
Oh,
Multiple.
Minor detail.
Yeah.
Things
gotta drive
generated.
around them, right?
Yeah.
You got all the aero. It'll work out fine. This is actually a question I've been wanting to ask you forever. When do we start seeing an Nth Moto drag and drive car?
Well, that would be really cool.
Because we can just stick something on the back of Adams and make it work, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, I mean, like legitimately, it's a legality thing. So, like the cars are faster than what they cert to for legality.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, like, if you want to go run Adam's car and go 850, by all means, go for it. But like, I'd be bored to death on that thing going 850. And so that's kind of the hard part. And it's not. I'm not placing that as like that's a fault of the event organizers. I get it that they're handcuffed as far as like what they can legally allow people to do based on the safety setup of the car. But until somebody is fine with significantly cutting up a car, that's what it's going to take.
Well, you take a lot. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that because like I've seen cars that have you have to be at 650 cages or whatever. Like that's what's required for some of those, right?
Well, depending on how fast the car is, of course, right?
Right.
But like that goes by basis of like, well, what's the weight versus the ET of the car?
Okay.
And so at a bare minimum, you would need what some people would just reference as like a funny car cage, where you're going to have the big driver surround in there. And that starts at 750 certs and then gets down into 650s or stuff like that. But realistically, for most of our stuff, it's too heavy for what the certs are. There is one out there that works for it. But there again, you're going to get rid of most of the interior, or you're just going to be cutting the interior up to kind of put it in so it kind of looks appropriate. Fine, like I'm all for that. Somebody's got to be okay with it. So
I still think you get, so the guys that win that are guys like Brett Lasala and our buddy up north. It blurs the lines of race car pro mod at that point. So you're like, yeah, you can drive it on the street from track to track, but yeah.
I mean, and I think a lot of those guys are getting to be a lot better realists about that.
Yeah.
It's the internet that won't let it go. You know, the internet's like, I bet Brett puts 20,000 miles a year on his car. Like, I don't know, I'll text him and like, no, he won't. And like he wouldn't say that either. But
it's gonna be like the insurance checking, like how many miles you put on so they give you an accurate quote.
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from the car either. It's just that's the way the cars are built. And if you want to go that fast, you have to make some compromises too. So yeah, I mean the really high level fast guy drag and drive stuff. I think a lot of those guys are starting to at least acknowledge the fact where like, hey, don't get it twisted. Like this is a race car that drives on the street, not a street car that races. And that's the truth of it.
Sure.
And that's going to have a different definition to everybody, right? So.
Well, I think too they feel like you have to walk away from the event as the fastest car sometimes too, which I've been learning as I'm going to more of this stuff. I went to bragging rights and I was like, my car could have been slightly competitive in some of this stuff.
Sure.
They got classes to all this stuff. So it's not like you have to be in that class, you know? So I think I'm going to try and get to some events more this year just because I think it'll be fun to compete.
Dude, they look like a blast. I have not been on one. I definitely do want to. I would love to do it with company representation, of course, you know, because that's just the difficult part is like our very, very mild stuff. Like we could put, I feel pretty confident, and I don't think this is a reach, and you probably have better input to that than a lot of people because you've been in some of our cars like this. Like we could build a Viper to run 850s, and like I don't even need a trailer. Like I don't even know that we would have different tires. Like I mean, if they would allow that, like it would just be like show up, run the car, it'll go 850, and like we'll go on our way now, and cruise control and air conditioning and whatever.
You're probably going to need to ship your car soon, or know somebody that will. And as someone who used to work in freight logistics, I understand the difficulties of finding reliable transport, especially when trying to make it to rallies, racetracks, or to warehouse to hide your Corvette because you're going through a messy divorce, and when she says everything, she means everything. Anywho, Nick Shear is the proud owner of Sure Thing Logistics. Having traveled much of the country with every type of vehicle you can imagine, he's got the experience and reliability that you want to ensure a safe journey for your pride and joy. If you want to find out what it takes to ship your vehicle, go to SureThingLogistics.net, fill out the intake form, and be sure to let him know I sent you. Let's get back to the show.
And I'm not saying we would be faster or beat everyone or blah, 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 or any of that. I'm just saying like we have the capability to do that. Sure. I mean, very few of our cars would run slower than that. The ones that are automatic converted, there's just very few. So,
what do you leave on the table by keeping an interior in Kratos? How much weight are we talking about?
I don't think it's really that much weight.
Really?
Like I think if you really...
Or keeping it a streetcar, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, where's the definition end, right?
Sure.
But like...
We'll just refer to everybody's definition.
Yeah, like if you legitimately just like got the interior out of it, like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 pounds maybe.
Really? That's all? Okay.
Yeah, it's got carbon seats at least.
Yeah.
But
you guys are fans of what, Tillet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. When they're mounted properly and everything. Yes.
Sure, we've had that discussion with people too.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not so much that, it's the infotainment system and the HVAC and the power steering system that's on it, the 15-inch front brake rotors, 19-inch wheels, like all this stuff that it doesn't need to have to do what it's necessarily doing. You could definitely get weight out of it at that point if you wanted to, but I think we can achieve our goals that we're targeting without doing any of that stuff.
Sure. All right, Dan, pop the Ford question.
Huh?
All right, let's talk about Ford GTs. Because how many of those have you cranked out of here now? Because are those typically twin turbo builds, supercharged, both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what somebody wants to do. The most recent one that we've tried to actually do a good job of showing on social media is one for Ben out of Mississippi. And that one, he wanted to keep a blower car. And it's, I was resistive to it at first because I just know like they're awesome turbo cars when they're done right. My opinion of right is a little different than the way most of them are turboed. But Ben was adamant that he didn't want that. And he didn't want that because he didn't want to let it snowball like too far, right? Like it was like, let's put a blocker in place, and that blocker is going to be that it's a blower car. But boy, that car, I got to spend 2.5 hours in that thing just the other night, and it was like I could have easily done that again and not been tired. Like the car rides so nice. It drives so well. It makes the most glorious sounds. It shoots giant fireballs when it shifts. Like it's just all goodness. I'm very, very, very infatuated with that thing right now. And the cool thing is we've had quite a few people with GTs reach out that are like, hey, that's like, I would like something like that, I think. And that's the reality. I don't know anybody that could drive one of those that would say that they didn't like it. That's just how good it was, or is. Like the smoothness, the way that header system we designed and the exhaust, like the sounds. You drive like a pissed off teenager, you know, you're constantly hanging the thing at $3-4 grand just because it's glorious the way it sounds. And it's very loud, but it's all behind you, so I don't care. Like it's like it's all back there, right? Oh man, it's just really good. And that thing, you know, is lowered hard on that really awesome Olin suspension we did on it. And yeah, it did everything right. It did everything right. But the era Ford GT is, for me, absolutely one of the greatest cars ever. It's just so good.
Which is why you should get one of those.
Are you?
Huh?
Are you tearing up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you told me to ask the question. I guess I know you had done some. I didn't know how many you were doing, or if it was an active platform you were still.
Yeah, we love doing them when we get the opportunity to do them. Obviously, with how valuable they have become, not that many people are really that jazzed up about modifying.
Well, Vipers are so cheap, so.
You make a Viper owner look poor. There's 4 GTs in here, yeah.
I was fortunate when I worked for Hefner Performance prior to starting Nth Moto. We did tons of GTs. Like that. I mean, we were the guys for it. Like Jason had developed this awesome turbo kit for those things that they could be done quickly, efficiently, cleanly. They looked nice. They ran nice. It was a really good program. I'm pretty sure there were 2 consecutive years that we did nearly 40 a year. Like they were everywhere. And we could do them in 5 to 7 days or something. Like it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I was building 5 turbo systems at a time, like full long tube turbo header systems and everything. And I would get the fixture out and build 5 cars worth of stuff. And like, they were pretty much sold by the time I was done with everything. So that was a good time then.
What were you doing I've been meaning to ask you, what were you doing at Hefner during your period there?
So I came in there and got hired in as a fabricator.
Oh, okay.
And I continued with that role the whole time I was there. Ultimately, I just the way the business evolved down there, I was doing all of our production and prototyping fabrication work, and then started transitioning into Jason entrusting me to start doing the engine calibration work on the tuning side of things on the cars. So by the time I left there, I was doing the fab work and the tuning work at that point for a lot of the projects, but not all of them for sure.
So we know what goes into, we've talked a lot about Vipers then. We know what goes into that, what your sauce is basically. What does it take to make a Ford GT fast? Are you going in the motor? Do you not have to? Where's your limit at for one of those?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, they've got as you're probably well aware. They've got a nice motor stock.
Yep.
But it has its limitations, especially if it's going to be blower based. Like you get up around 900 wheel and it's kind of getting dicey in my opinion. Also recognize they're 20-year-old cars. So I think it depends on what your definition of fast is. Putting it bluntly, if you have a Ford GT, you're more than likely in a position to make the financial decision to build the motor at the same time. And I just think that's a smarter way to do it. It protects the investment, especially when you start thinking about things like, if it breaks, what parts can you get or not get? Like that has a very specific dry sump oil system on there. Like how many pans are left or girdles or, any of those things, right? So in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, let's put our best foot forward and fortify that stuff and make it better. The one that we did has a billet crank in it and really good rods and pistons, and then upgraded valve train and cams and, new tensioners and chains and all the normal mod motor stuff you would do like that. So it had a nice motor combo.
Doing anything to the block, sleeves, any stuff like that? No?
Nope, factory sleeve. Yeah. Okay. Factory sleeve, factory oiling system, given that they're a factory dry sump car and it's a pretty nice system. I did that car has our triple disc carbon clutch in there. And then, then that was that one, and got a Whipple 4.5 liter kit. Admittedly, it's very overblowered, and it's okay. Like it's
55-gallon drums slapped on top of it.
It looks cool. That was part of it. Like it looks cool. Like tell me I'm wrong. Like it's awesome. Like whatever. So we did that. We converted the car to drive-by-wire, utilizing a Motec on there. That's really cool because it looks all stock on the inside. The stock pedal's still in it and all that. So we got real sneaky with all that stuff.
I suppose you bring it from an early 2000s supercar at that point to a more modern day supercar at that point.
Now we're talking.
Yes,
Now we're talking back to that ECU game and technology and all that, right? So now the car fires up, idles, rowdy, sounds cool, has awesome throttle response. It's a big displacement blower car that makes 1,000 wheel, and I can just romp it in first gear and let the car take care of everything. And it drives just around a little, like I've got just a little bit of wiggle allowed in it. Shifted at $8,000, it go boom, big fireball out the back of the car, and like it's just it's so good. I called Ben after I was driving around that night. I was like, dude, I'm so jealous and sad that it's leaving. Like I'm so happy it's leaving, but so sad because it's been such a cool car to get to experience and drive and vet out and learn some of the idiosyncrasies, because those cars are 20 years old. There's things that don't work right on them anymore. And so we ran into something with that car on the air conditioning control, actually, that we had to get real creative about. And we were able to solve it. And that's one of the things that I value with our team so much, is that we have really smart people at all positions in here. And so when we're faced with something that shouldn't be a problem, we're smart enough that we can develop ways to figure out what it is, solve it, and move forward. Ben said something on the phone. He said, man, I'm really glad I brought the car to you guys, because I don't know that anybody else would have kept working at it to get it as good as what you guys did. And that meant a lot. There's not a lot of better things you can want to hear from someone as a customer at that point. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, you also get better with every build, right? Like you probably can't even count it at this point how many builds you've done over the years, but
I don't know.
Constantly improving. How do you get more Ford? Do you want more Ford GTs in the door?
Absolutely. As many as people are willing to send. Go for it.
And does that include, again, blower builds, turbo builds? Oh, actually, let's touch on a blower build GT. Yeah. You've done a handful of those then? Or?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I guess the question that everybody in Draggy wants to hear is, one, what's the highest power one that you've put out, and what does it take to do a higher powered Ford GT? Or are they even chasing power at that point?
I don't think you're chasing power if you're wanting to stay with a blower. You may have goals.
Turbo builds. Is anybody really competitive with Ford GTs anymore?
Not really. Nobody really races them that much anymore, especially not at events or anything. I think it's a great platform to do it with. You just you got to commit like financially, right?
Yeah, there's only like 4,000 of them too. So.
That said, we say that we're sitting here at this table, we're like, oh man, I mean, you got to spend a lot of money. Like, you do. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 to buy one probably. How much is a Performante or an STO? Or
Right.
like they're the same money. So it's not that they're just expensive. Like people have like just kind of moved on platforms, which isn't that different than the story with the Viper, right? Like the Viper is kind of a forgotten platform, and we really kind of came back and helped revive that by injecting good thought process and practices and efforts and technology into it, and made it a pretty sought after platform now. I don't think that there's anything to say that a GT couldn't be the same thing. It's got killer weight distribution for applying power from a roll.
Really?
It's like the mod motor's awesome. Like it's great. Like as far as like power potential, I mean, we made $2,000 with those things when I was 18, or maybe not quite, but back in the Hefner days, like we did that stuff. I'm not going to say like everything, but we did Ray Hoffman's 1 mile car back then, and that thing made like.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, that car went 264, I think, in the half, or I'm sorry, in the 1 mile. Back when I think the fastest anybody had been in like a Lambo or anything was like in the high 240s or something. I mean, it was like we dropped the nuke in the middle of the runway. Like, did you guys see that? Like, we're gonna come back and do that again if you want, But yeah, we did a high RPM Mahovitz mod motor on twin Garrett GT42s back then, Motec. It was a really nice build back then, and it made a bunch of power. That was like high 1800 wheel, and I think it was in like the mid 30s or low 40s for boost or something.
Sure.
And like it went through other iterations after that, and I forget the details now. But yeah, that's totally plausible to be done if a guy wants to.
So the Vipers obviously have, Delta, Zenith, these packages.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to come to you, to do a Ford GT, do you have like a package in mind, or?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
It'd just be more of like, what's the customer want? Let's build around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, and in those cases, like you can kind of estimate that somewhat, but like it's going to kind of more turn into like it's kind of time and materials-ish almost at that point.
Right.
Depending on, if somebody wants what we just did on this most recent one, like, well, okay, we got a pretty good recipe at that point, right? Sure. And like we've done turbo cars, but I would want to do a turbo car different today than probably the last one that we had done, and so we would make changes based upon that. So
when was the last turbo car?
That's been a little while now.
It's like 2 years or something, right?
Oh, it's been longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a while.
I really hope to see some more Ford GTs in here. I know.
What's your next biggest platform you work on other than the Viper?
Ford GTs.
Is it?
I don't know.
It might be. You do an awful lot of Vipers, right? So maybe 3 or 4 of another one might be your next biggest thing, right?
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Because the Ford GT community is a really awesome group of people typically too. Like they're diehard guys, and they're big motorsports guys, and I like that gets along well with our personalities. But you never know. There's been at least 3 or 4 inquiries in the past week. So
Okay.
So who knows? Maybe. I can tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be Audi or Lambo stuff. It's not going to be GTRs. It's not going to be McLarens.
Any reason whys? Or any reason whys? That's
yeah.
a way of asking.
Yeah, it works.
There's a lot of whys, yeah.
Yeah, the Audi, the Huracan stuff, all that, like there's enough good people out there that do that already. I don't really see a reason to try to do anything different in that realm right now. So just don't really have a lot of desire in that. Even though we have done them, like it doesn't seem to be worth it. When we go into a platform, we really want to try to do something different than what other people have done.
Sure.
And there's some people doing some really nice stuff in that market. So I look at it and go like, yeah, man, you're doing a good job. Like, keep having fun. Will Dugas, great customer of ours, right? Like, he just picked up a Performante, and the amount of people that like assumed or were telling me or telling him like, oh, I can't wait to see Nth Moto do it. And I'd flat out tell people like, no, we're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Like, Will hasn't even asked me, and he's not going to ask me because he's a friend. Because he knows that like, I don't want to do that thing in the middle of what we're doing. Like, we got plenty of stuff to do that we do normally, like, and he's got plenty of one-off projects that he's got on our lap, like that, it doesn't make sense. Like, other people can go do that. I love doing business with them. Love doing work with them, but that doesn't make sense for them or for us. So not a good fit. So that's probably the reason on those cars. GTRs, same thing. Like I don't
there's so many people out there.
Yeah.
And to do it at the level you would want to do it, it's an even smaller pool of people.
Yeah, and it'd be a tremendous amount of learning that I just don't have any
That's
interest
just a
in
mod
learning.
motor minus 2 cylinders.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. So, and then McLaren stuff, we have people ask about that, and those cars don't do anything for me other than
Let's
I think
not have
they
that
look
headache
cool.
anyway.
And yeah, they do look cool. I admire the engineering, but it's not what I want to be a part of.
Do you see, now that there's some different management going on at Stellantis, do you, and I've heard rumblings, do you see a Gen 6 Viper coming? And if so, are you excited to get your hands on one?
Well, so chicken or the egg there. Like,
Right.
if one were to exist, I'd certainly be interested to know about it. I think we'd kind of be foolish not to.
Right.
I don't think one's going to exist.
Is there any way, in your opinion, that we can take the previous, 5 generations or whatever? Well,
Yeah, 5.
well, no, I mean, how many generations are there of the engine? Is it still 5?
Oh, well, Gen 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5 were pretty much the same.
Okay. Is there any way we could take what's existing and put it into a Gen 6? I mean, because and maybe I should just ask people in Detroit this question because they know all the regulations and all that stuff to deal with. But,
Yeah.
I mean, could you see a way to keep the V10 going forward? I mean, even Lambos don't do V8s or V10s anymore.
Well, like, I don't know that I know the answer to that.
Sure.
I think you change the infrastructure of it then, right? Because, I mean, are they doing anything else? Because this is still a push rod, just
Yeah, two
valve, like simple, like the GM guy just beating it to death.
Yep.
Is that they're only all the way up into the end of Gen 5? Is that the only platform they had that was still doing push rod motor?
It's a pretty good question.
I mean, are they still doing it in a truck, or did that go to something overhead cam?
No, well, the Hemis are all
Okay.
were all push rod actuated.
Okay.
Technically 2 valve. So I mean, different valve train architecture highly, but yeah, that's still push rod stuff. So
Okay.
the Hemi line, the 5.7, 6.4s, any of that stuff, or the 6.2 Hellcat stuff. That might be it though.
Yeah.
Everything else might be overhead cam.
Okay.
Yeah. The Gen 6 thing, I just like, look, I hope people will watch this that have decision-making ability. Maybe you can lean on people in Detroit, whatever, but I don't see the business model for it.
That's kind of my thing too.
I don't think Viper was ever a moneymaker for him anyways, or if it was, it couldn't have been much. So there's that. Like, that company is not exactly like in stellar position right now, so I don't know that like making something that isn't going to make money is going to be high on the approval list. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I don't know. But Halo cars are meant to serve a purpose to attract buyers to the brand, right? Like the Viper being a Halo car, and you asked why Viper, right? Like, oh man, well, I was into Shelby Dodges, and like I really wanted a neon ACR, and like, but because the Viper was cool, but I ain't getting a Viper, Corvette brings the buyers into Chevy, right? Like that's kind of the idea. What is someone going to go buy from Dodge? Like, make a Gen 6 Viper and make it awesome and drive people to the dealership. What are they going to go buy? I mean, like
Wagoneer.
Being technical, that's a Jeep.
Right.
And like Ram is no longer part of Dodge. Like Ram is its own brand. So Dodge has the Durango, which has been the same car or vehicle for since like 12 now, maybe, or something.
I think so.
They're pretty good about beating a platform to death,
Dude,
aren't they?
give me credit for that.
They are though.
Hey,
for real.
the Fox body, how long that was like, what,
Yeah, but
30
they
years?
changed. It had a lot of facelifts that were pretty different.
Yeah, they at
throughout
least tried to make it look like it was a different car.
Correct.
That's what doesn't make any sense about all of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, they were able to like put legs on the LX platform and the LC, the Challenger, and the Charger stuff forever, and people still loved them. Now the sales finally started dwindling off at the end. Like, okay, well, had a good run, but then they replace it with a car that nobody wants. Like, nobody is buying the new Charger stuff. And nobody is surprised by that. And probably not even the people within the company. I mean, I saw one for the first time in person in Prior Lake. I was at dinner and I saw an orange one sitting there. And I got to look around and I was like, man, the car's cool. Like the lines are cool. If this thing was like 4 inches lower and had cooler wheels, like it'd be pretty cool looking. It's huge.
It's massive.
And but nobody wants to buy what they currently can buy of that car. And I'm gonna be honest, like with the Hurricane Straight 6 in it or whatever, like I don't think that's gonna change. Like
you don't think so?
I don't. I don't know. There's some people.
The price is also a bit of a killer. Well,
it's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's a really expensive car.
Yeah.
And on a brand that was like had kind of associated it with itself with like, look how much you can get for and what you can do for fun, like a Super B or like the 6.4 all motor, the 392 Chargers. Like there was a time when those things were like what 40s or 50s or something. I don't know. Yeah,
I think high 30s even at one point.
And like you can't do that now.
Yeah, that was a lot of motor for that price. Like,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Well, they were. I always was kind of a little bit jealous because Mustang and Corvette and all these were kind of going into this, independent rear suspension, doing all this stuff, and Dodge was still like, no, we build freaking muscle cars, man. This is raw.
Come check out my shovel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll put a Hellcat in anything and just put you in all the curbs. It's
Don't let
fine.
me get my backhoe. I'll show you what real power is. Like I mean, it was cool and it worked.
Yeah, it's crazy how it went the complete opposite way.
I know, right?
It's literally the opposite.
I know.
Yeah.
And like sometimes maybe that has worked in company stuff, but in the car world, that's tough. Like that's a tough to get the swing. And then it's a double negative because if you don't attract new buyers, which you clearly were trying to do, you have created enemies out of the previous buyers.
Yeah.
And that's not good. So that's my point. So like, okay, so they make a new Viper and it's really cool. And like, okay, well, I don't want a Durango because that's the same Durango for the last forever and I don't want that. Okay, how about that Hornet? Nope, nobody wants that. And then this Charger thing, like, yep. Okay.
Yeah, a coupe EV was not the move.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, that's my thoughts there.
Okay. So, obviously we want to start wrapping up here.
Oh, yeah.
I have one kind of last topic to discuss. We talked a lot about calibration. What's that?
I said we'll see how that goes.
We talked a lot about calibration. How important is choosing the right injectors? You only use one brand, don't you?
Yeah, we use Injector Dynamics.
Okay.
On everything. Yeah. I'm pretty staunch about that. Like, they're a good customer service company. Like they treat you well. It's a very good product. You know what you're getting. You get the right information to go along with it, behind it. So I think that's a very, very important deal. Mm-hmm. It's not one that I'm willing to waver on at all, even when they're very expensive. So, I mean, it's a great point when if ever people think about like the true expense that it takes to build these cars. I know it sounds like a lot of money on paper when people hear it. When we were at 2K this last year, Peter went and asked each winner in the roll race, like, how much does it take to build this car? And I was like, whoa, didn't expect you to ask me that, right? And like Kevin from Underground was like, yeah, $1 million, and like, he's probably not wrong for what they were talking about for the big boy stuff there. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this stuff at the very high level stuff, right? But if you go look at, we're talking about Kratos, right? Like that has 2 rows of ID 1750s on it. It is on 1750s. That's going to mess with people's heads a little bit when they start thinking about how much fuel flow can that actually do, but they don't know what pressure we're at, and then there's all these other questions, so it'll be fun. That's on 2 rows of 1700s. We'll just call it for easy numbers. And
so that's 40 injectors?
No, 2 rows, so 20 injectors total.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 cylinders, two holes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got it.
And but that's $6,000 in injectors.
Yeah.
So like when people are like, oh man, I can get a fuel system for like $2,000. Like, nope, can't even get a full set of injectors.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Sorry. Next. I think that's the craziness. Mm-hmm. So it's not crazy, but that's the reality, I guess, of like what people maybe just don't know because they haven't really looked at that.
Finally, something that takes more fuel than an RX-7.
Yeah.
when we're running hard on pure 1R for when we're having fun going racing, well, we use that stuff and everything, but it's not uncommon for our cars to be consuming at wide open throttle around 6 to 6.5 gallons per minute of fuel consumption at that point in time.
Holy crap.
And some of the big boy stuff can be in the 9s. So
Big boy stuff being like Kratos.
yeah.
That's insane. What makes Injector Dynamics the best for you then? Why are you so strict on that? Is it just the data they provide or quality?
Data is really important. Quality and consistency is really important. The processes in which they place of the engineering to the finished product, I hold a lot of value in. And so that lets me trust their product at that point in time. I got to spend some really good time talking with a very, very, very intelligent fellow lately. We've been able to connect a lot more lately and kind of helping each other on some different project information.
Oh, you're making me blush.
It's funny. Yeah, it's good. So in our late night talks,
Sure.
he gave me some clarity by giving me like this perspective, and we were talking about turbo system data, and we don't share a lot of data with people, it means a lot that I'm willing to share with him. He's willing to share with us. It's really, really enjoyable. But we're talking through this, and I was thinking about this, like, man, maybe there's a different turbo combination we could try, or this compressor, or this or this. And he said, he's like, man, what are you chasing? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I mean, making things better. He's like, well, like when you look at your data, like it's not going to get any better. So like you can change something and it could maybe get better, but it could probably get worse because it's so good. Like you have to stop and think about that sometimes. And it was a really interesting way to look at it because I hadn't really done that before of like, yeah, maybe it is really that good. And maybe like we should kind of continue down that path rather than like, hey, let me try over here now kind of thing or something. So with Injector Dynamics, it's like, the reason I was telling that story is it's treated us so well for so long. Why would I want to veer away from it? And if they're as good as they are, which they are, what am I gaining by going to something else?
That makes sense. Ooh. Okay, 1 30-second question, and then we're done. Do you do...
This really hasn't been that long, actually. We're doing okay.
We're actually shorter than the last episode currently.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
No, just because I always like asking this question. Do you do a lot of like CAD and design work yourself, or do you outsource that? Or
I do not. No.
Okay.
I can hand sketch stuff like a mofo, but and in my brain I can see a lot of stuff, and that's the fabricator side of things. But no, for our actual CAD design work, other Aaron Burris here has been doing some of that lately, and then I've got a great relationship with our machinist that does most of our project pieces that we work back and forth together on that, and then another person, DJ that we work with closely on that as well.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. See, 30-second answer.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad, right?
Well, in that case, did you want to rip the usual 3?
Sure.
You get to change your answers or keep them the same.
Ooh.
I won't remember what they were before.
I remember some of them.
Do you personally own a Viper at all?
No.
No?
Not right now.
Okay.
You want 4 GT, didn't you hear?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'd have to sell 4.
All right. So at the end of every episode, we like to ask our guests to pick 3 cars. I need a track car, a daily driver, and a show car.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the answers from last time.
I think I picked my Imperial for one of them last time because I love driving that thing. I still love driving that thing. Viper's in there. I just don't know where to slot it. I don't know what you want to call it. Does show car count as like I want to drive it around and just have a car that I just enjoy and it's like really pretty? That might be a GT at this point.
Okay.
I'd probably say a 4 GT now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not stock?
No.
Okay.
They're really, really not fun stock.
And you have no...
I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it's just like there's just nothing... I'm too far gone down that path to like be excited by 400 something horsepower. Like it just doesn't do it.
Okay, what would you do then?
That combo we just did on Ben's car is pretty hard to argue with. Like me being an idiot and wanting like a little bit more like it'd be fun if we could pulley it a little harder, make that blower work a little bit more. That thing's only running at like around 17, 18 pounds, so it's like living a really easy life right now.
What'd you say that it made, by the way?
It made about $1,000, yeah,
Okay,
somewhere
that's
right
what I
around there. Yep.
Okay, so blown Ford GT for a show car.
Yeah.
The purist in me likes what those cars are for what they are. So I feel like a blower build is, it does the car
it's fitting.
justice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fitting. Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that. So the Wright turbo car is awesome.
Yes.
It's not that different than Viper actually to me, because like the Wright NA Viper is awesome. So is a turbo car. So the real solutions that have both. And we have customers that have both, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's the reality is they are totally different cars. They're just both very good at different things at that point.
Okay.
So, so that show car, I guess track car, race car becomes a Viper. Like, yeah. So
ACR, Extreme, no.
I'm a drag racer at heart. So like, I mean, the Gen 2 is still super sexy to me. Like, I still love the way they look. Maybe Juggernaut's just the car to answer, because it is like, it's the ultimate, like, it's so good looking and yet fast drag car. So that is still streetable. So that's cool. So I'll say that. And then what was left with Daily? Lincoln Town Car.
Yes.
Dude, I had my grandfather's town car. I loved that thing. We called it the Silver Cloud. It was like
The Panther platform one?
dude, yes.
Yeah.
It was it was so great.
I'm getting punked right now.
No.
There is something about that car. It's freaking
so
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Like you never feel the transmission shift. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Doesn't matter. You can't hear the engine, so like it's working okay. And it just like it's sound deadened beyond belief. It just rolls down the road. Like
We're talking like a 2000. Yours is 2009, right?
Mine's a 2007.
7.
oh, this wasn't mine. Was an 06.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
06 is when they changed the chassis a little bit in
wouldn't even
03 and
know
up.
this, you know?
Yeah, and then the 06 has the tack in there, so I like the 06 and up. But yeah.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, they're and you can like, oops, I forgot to change the oil 1,000 miles ago. Like they just
It'll be
don't.
okay.
Yeah, they just keep going.
Yeah, no, they really are great. I really think Marauders are cool.
Yeah.
If a Marauder road is nice as the town car, which I do not know, I've never been in one in my life, then it'd be like, well, that would be really cool.
I really want a Coyote swap a town car. That would give you the Marauder feel and the town car comfort.
Yeah. I just don't need it to be fast. That's one of the beauties of it. It's like it's not, and it doesn't matter because it like floats at 80 or 85 like nothing, and it's just like glass. I actually 169. I mean, we're getting off topic, right? But like, it's what's so fascinating about where we've evolved to in automobiles, because my 62 Imperial. My son hates riding in my truck or in my wife's Charger, in his car seat down that section of road, because it's got all the it's like the
I don't miss
perfect
it.
it's the perfect oscillation of like the brake points, and it's like But I run that road in the Imperial, I don't even see the fender move. Like it's just like perfect reflection sitting there. You feel nothing, and it just goes over all of that like it never even happened. Now, is that torsion spring suspension? Is that 8-inch wide frame rails? Is that 14-inch wheels with like 12 inches of sidewall? Like it's all those things working together. But like, so we've evolved for like however many years at this point in time in technology, and I'm not sure that there's a car that rides as nice as that. Like that's, I mean, there probably is, but it's
I loved it. I borrowed it for a day when I locked myself out of my car, and it was
my
great.
town car,
I love that thing. The best part is he literally bought it just to get to the podcast.
Okay.
I mean, I was driving my truck or my GT500, and I don't know if you've driven through the metro, and a lot of times I was like, podcast 5 o'clock. I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds like fun. I got to drive to St. Louis Park.
Nope.
Through the belly of the beast, 394, all that stuff.
No way.
So going through the tunnel. $2,000 town car will make you happy to drive through traffic, because you're floating through traffic, and go ahead, hit me. Yeah. Or if you piss me off, I might hit you. Yeah. Who knows?
Let's try it out.
Yep.
Well, perfect. On that note, any final things you wanted to touch on before we close out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll be back here in a year.
There you go. Maybe sooner. Who knows?
Yeah, probably. Well, on that note, where can everybody find you?
Facebook or Instagram, Nth Moto, NTHMOTO, or our website, nthmoto.com.
I love playing Where's Waldo whenever you make your posts. Like, oh, what's hiding in this photo?
There's little Easter eggs every once in a while.
Yeah,
we've been trying to be a lot better about our social media. So Alex Bellis has been helping us a bunch and doing
He's so
photos.
awesome, man.
Yeah, yes, he's a great guy.
I see you personally pop up in some weird groups. I don't know what it was the other day. I was in some, I don't know if it might not even have been a car one. And all of a sudden you were like commenting in the comments. I'm like, how did Aaron end up in this group? I don't know what it was. I'll have to try to remember.
It'd be funny if you think of it, because I was like, I don't think I really use social media that much. But
it's very random sometimes. And maybe it was like in a Terminator group or something. I don't know what it was.
I think it was a Terminator group.
It might have been.
Yeah. You always work on quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, no, wait, hold on. Why am I talking to you? Aaron,
fine.
thank you for coming on. And this
no
is a
problem.
blast to do again.
Yeah.
Dan, thanks for existing. And we'll see y'all next time. That's what it was. Find you at Gunna Garage. And see y'all next time.
There, nailed it.
It happens.
Thanks again for watching the show, guys. Be sure to go into the description down below and check out all of our sponsors. They are what make this show possible. It allows us to travel the country and talk to some really cool guests. So be sure to check them out, support them just like you support us, and see y'all next time.